All right. It says we are live. Are we live? Somebody tell me we're live and that you can hear me and it's not screwed up. That would be awesome.
I just got the notification that we went live.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just got a notification on my phone.
Okay, cool. So we've had some screwy technical difficulties here, guys. And what I want to do, and I don't have a whole lot of time to do it now because I can't charge my phone and run from my phone with these headphones at the same time.
Thank you, Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve Jobs. Punch you right in the goddamn mouth. I guess it's a little late for that. Well, it's not. I mean, we can still do it, I guess.
No login screen, Robin.
Be a whole lot easier to get a hold of him and punch him. So what we'll do is we'll do the reloading stuff as fast as we can. Not as fast as we can. And I'm not going to be able to watch a chat because I'm not going to, do that. And then what we'll do is we'll if my phone dies, we'll just hop back over to the computer. Are you guys seeing my reloading setup? Does everything look okay? Yeah? You guys can see the setup?
Yeah, except
okay, cool.
Your main screen is
what?
Up on top.
What the hell you mean, up on top?
All we're seeing is your curtains.
What?
Oh, no, okay. the YouTube seeing the bench and all that.
Okay, so we're good. Okay. I have a really simple setup. I got into it to try and spend as little money as possible because I'm broke. I had some stuff gifted to me for Christmas, to my birthday, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to just show some products and go through a real quick setup. How to sort of, because a lot of people have never seen or they're interested in how you actually do this process. First things first, get yourself a really good book. Lyman, this is the 49th. I want to get the 50th. There's some stuff in the 50th. It's not in the 49th. I think 300 Blackout, that kind of stuff isn't in the 49th. But they're pretty inexpensive. It's not a big deal. What we'll do is I have a single stage press, which means I can do one function at a time. When you get all fancy pants, you can get a turret where it has a turret on the top, and you can put all 4 or 5 dies, 3 to 5 dies, whatever you need up on top, and you just switch them back and forth after they're set up. Then you can get even more fancy pantser, and you can go to a progressive press, which has everything all set up. You pull the handle, and as it cams down, it does one function to the first case or the first round. You pull it again, it moves that to the next stage, and it does, it's just like, so after you have it set up and you pull the handle a couple of times, you're getting one bullet that is popping the primer out, one bullet that is, resizing, one bullet that is flaring and, or flaring, and then one bullet that is seating, and the powder will actually drop into the primed case itself. So you have all that going on at once. Pretty awesome. Guys like Clover and I know Coda Boy has a good one. Dead Horse just got a pretty bitchin' setup. If somebody could watch the gun channels chat, I'd appreciate it. Dead Horse said he was going to try and jump in if he could. So if he wants a link, somebody can send it to him. That'd be awesome. Basically, there's a couple different kinds of dies. You can get 2 set, 3 set, 4 set. These are a set of RCBS. They're carbide, tungsten carbide, or carbide. So, which is really nice. You don't need to worry about them. They're really super hard. They're very durable. And you don't need to lube the cases for pistol, like sometimes you do with the plain old steel. Now, my dies are already set up. They're already set up. They have a lock around the outside of them. And so all I have to do for each individual case is just screw them down in. I'm not going to do it more than hand tight. That's all you really need. And this is the shell holder. They are specific to the caliber. Some of them work for different calibers. If you get a 9mm, it works for 223 also. 8mm Mauser works for 45, ACP, that kind of thing. So what do? You go to the range, right? You shoot, pew, pew, pew. What are you left with? Brass, right? Dirty brass, primer still in the back. Bring it home, put it in your little tumbler, your little rumble tumbler, a little vibratory tumbler. It's got media in it. It's called media. And you put them in there. You can put a couple hundred in there. Even a small one like this will fit a couple hundred when you're talking about 9mm or 40. And it basically just vibrates. And the media inside can be anything from corn cob to walnut. They're treated. Some are treated. Some are not treated. And the bigger, more expensive ones can actually use steel too. Good trick if you're using the media like I am, it's the corn cob or walnut, is some cheap dryer sheets. Tear them up, throw one or two in there when you're tumbling, and it'll actually absorb some of the dirt. They'll come out looking dirty, like they were, saturated with like coal dust or something. It'll elongate it'll make the life of your media longer. It's great. I have a Rock Chucker 4, which is nice. It has this is the primer seater here, if you can see that little swinging arm there. Okay. So basically, shell holder slides in there. Okay. That slides in there. The arm comes out. Now this die I should have showed you this die. This is the de-priming die. Now all this does is de-primes. See, it has a little pin there. De-primes and resizes. That's what's nice about the carbide is you don't have to use any kind of case lube. This is a Hornady one-shot case lube. It's a dry lube. Works fantastic on rifle rounds. That's what I like. You just spray it, give it a couple seconds, and let it dry, and then you can size your rifle brass. Oh, you know what? I'm getting ahead of me. I'm trying to rush, and I'm getting ahead of myself. If you want to trim, I use the Lee hand trimmers. Very inexpensive. Each caliber is only going to cost you a couple of bucks. And they have these really neat little setups. Use the shell holder comes with it. Okay. This is the individual shell holder for this. You can also put this in a drill if you have a drill set up. Your shell would go in there after it's primed, or after it's de-primed. So primer pops out. You're left with no primer. Okay, that goes in there. Gets tightened down. And again, this is a hand setup. There's really awesome, nice, cool things to do this with, but this is how I do it. This screws into the end, and what it does is it gives the ability to trim the case to factory, what is minimum factory, and because of the way it's shaped, it'll actually bottom out, so you don't go deeper or shorter than you should. Put that in there, give it a couple turns. This one's already short enough; it's not going to trim any, but you would basically just trim it. Okay, really cheap, couple of bucks if you want to get into reloading and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money. So you got it cleaned, you got a deep primed case, right? One of the tools it's nice to have is a primer pocket cleaner or reamer. No, cleaner. It's little bristles made out of stainless steel. You get inside there, squeakity, squeakity, squeak. Tap it out. I don't know if you can see that, but the inside of that primer pocket's now, it's like nice and shiny. Actually, that's picking up pretty good, huh? It's nice and shiny. You can see the brass is really clean. It's nice to keep that clean. That way when your primers seat, they seat nice and flush. Another thing that I like to use for my rifle, not so much for my handgun, but is a primer pocket. This is for the primer pocket on the inside, flash hole, called the flash hole. That goes inside, and it's basically just like a little tiny drill bit on the end. And what it does is it uniforms the inside of that flash hole. So that way when the primer ignites or burns, it burns evenly, and it sets off your powder more even. It's really cool. Okay, so now we've got a cleaned, de-primed, and de-burred, not de-burred, but a shell that has the primer pocket cleaned. Next step is one of these little guys. This is a deburring tool. It's sharpened on this side, sharpen on the inside of that. One of them is for the inside. You just run it in there a little bit, and you hear it squeaking, just lightly, and you spin it. You put the outside on that way. And it's a chamfering tool. Basically what it does is it cleans up the edge of the round, so that way there's no sharp edges, nicks, or anything like that that might impede the bullet from going in or hurt your seal. You want a nice seal around that bullet. So now we've got a bullet that this guy can come out. The next die is going to flare the mouth. Okay, so it's really hard to get if you're not using a boat tail round and using a flat bullet. It's sometimes really hard to get them to sit in there flush. They want to sit cockeyed, goofy. If you look at this one, it's like it won't sit in there at all. It won't fit. I'm down to 10%. Won't sit in there flat at all. So we will flare it. Again, this one goes in hand tight. Push it up, cam it down, cam it through. And now it's super, super slight. You'll never be able to see it on camera, but it will fit in there. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, really cool. Just flares that out just enough that you can sit that bullet in there flush or flat, I suppose. Okay, and that's all you need that guy for. Okay. Primers. 40 uses small pistol primers. You obviously got to have the right primer for the right bullet. Come in little trays, and they are a chemical reaction occurs inside a primer. So that goes up. Little primer goes in there. Make sure you got it the right way. And what happens with a primer is there's two compounds in there that when they combine, they cause a chemical reaction, and they get hot, and it ignites the powder. There is no explosion in a bullet. People talk about bullets going off and causing an explosion. They don't. It's a controlled burn that causes pressure and forces the bullet out. So that's why, the correct primer is important. You can't use Magnum primers where they're not called for because it can, cause pressure spikes and you can start getting in dangerous situations. So now we've got our primer in there. What we're going to do, put that in there, and that will seat the primer inside the back, and we're just going to push forward. Okay. Well, not forward. Yeah, forward. If I was sitting in front of it, it'd be forward. I'm kind of sitting sideways here, but and you'll see the primer goes in nice and flush. You always want to I feel the bottom of every bullet that I make sure the primer is flush. If it's not flush, then you really get into the situation where you could have slam fires, especially with protruding firing pins. So you've got a primed brass. Usually at this point, I'd take it out. I do a whole bunch in 8-inch stage, and then I'll put them all in my reloading block. I have a Hornady lock and load powder measure, which is really cool. It's electronic. You set it up every time, and make sure that it's dialed in. What's really cool, it's kind of neat, is it'll throw the powder. It's called throwing when the powder comes out. You pick up the little thing here, use the funnel, you dump it in there. As soon as you put it back on there, it'll automatically throw the next load, which is really cool. So even I can basically, that's kind of how I pace myself. I'll put it in, I'll be, by the time that gets done throwing, I usually have the bullet seated and I'll go to the next one, which is kind of neat. So now we've got a cleaned, primed, flared 40 cal. Throw the load, put it in there. For my pistol, I use a Hodgdon's Universal Clays, which is nice, fluffy, light powder. And it's very obvious if you overcharge it, which is cool. It's very hard to make mistakes because you can visually see that it's, pretty full. We go back into the press with the cedar die. And now that we're pretending we got powder in there. Now oops. Try to get it so you can see it. Set the bullet in there. cam it up. You'll feel it tension. You'll cam it through. And technically, theoretically, there's a bullet. Now, I have mine set up for a taper crimp, which is pretty common for autoloaders. Okay, very, very slight, like a 1,000th of a crimp. Nothing, no big deal, but it is nice. I do like to do a little bit of a crimp. Calipers, I use an old school dial caliper. Batteries don't die. You know, every bullet I do, I'll check it. And that is 1.2, I'm sorry, 1.11. I go to my book. And that's what I'm looking for. So I got a usable, theoretically, because there's no powder in it, but I've got a usable bullet. Very cool. There's also some stuff that's kind of neat. There's a bullet and primer sealer, which is cool if you're using hunting rounds and you might be out in the elements. So it's kind of like nail polish, and I've actually heard people using nail polish, but it's you can put it around the outside here and around the outside of the primer. If you look at the back of some ammo, you'll see like a blue or a red sort of lacquer, not lacquer, but you know, almost like nail polish. That's usually what that is. A lot of rounds have that way. They're better sealed to the elements. So that's kind of a run through. I mean, there's lots of do's and don'ts, and there's lots of cool stuff, and we can talk about this because my phone's going to die here. But I did want to get the chance to just load one round, just so people that have never seen it done can see, you know, it's not crazy, it's not scary. It's actually very methodical and very relaxing for me. I love it. And you know, people are going to say, "What are you going to do with that bullet now?" Because you got a primed bullet with a projectile in it. That's super dangerous, right? True. That's how you get a squib. Something like this would probably not make it out of the barrel, which is why you have these little guys. This is a gravity hammer, or what do they call them? Inertia hammer. Okay. Basically what happens, I use these little things too. These little Ziplocs are actually Ziploc bags for medicine. I use these and I label them, and I keep all my little parts and gizmos and doohickeys and stuff in there. And then I keep it inside like a little tackle box kind of thing. But what's neat is the bullet goes inside this collet, grabs a hold of it, goes inside there, screw it back on, and you just go to somewhere like a concrete or something like that, and you actually just hit that really hard, and the bullet will pop out, the powder falls out, and you can reload it. I actually had to do that like a month or two ago. I said it online during the show. I dropped a box of my reloads that I hadn't shot yet for accuracy. So they got all mixed up. I had to pull like 20 bullets and refill them with powder and reseat them because I didn't know what the hell I was shooting. So I wanted to, for my test loads. There's also things for people that are just getting into it. If you're only ever think you're going to do one caliber or a couple of calibers, Lyman does make these little guys that are specific to like maybe 5 or 6 calibers. You can get them for that. I have another one here this one's for 389, 40, and 45. If you think that's all you're ever going to load for, great. But I would suggest not. This is great if you really truly think you're only ever going to reload 1 or 2 calibers. It's honestly, spend that money and get a good reloading book or 2. Notebooks. One thing that I like to do too is I have a little binder that, in my own words, I've written down steps on how to do things. So I find that, one, if I write things down myself, it helps. But number 2, when you go to reference it, sometimes you reference things and you're like, you got to read it 2 or 3 times. Like, hey, what the hell is that telling me to do? You write it in your own words, and then you're good to go. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, it's kind of, my desk is it's really small. It's actually a desk that I built in high school, and I didn't want to drill through it. So if you can see over here, there's actually a oak. This is like a 1x6 or something. I don't know. That I actually C-clamped to the desk, and then I put the bolts from the press through that. So I didn't have to drill through my desk. So people are like, well, I don't have a reloading bench. I don't have a reloading bench. Neither do I. I got a damn school desk or a little desk that you'd have in your room. I've seen people do this with coffee tables. They'll do reloading for a day and then they'll take it off. It's pretty cool. And you're not doing any damage to your furniture, which is pretty neat. If there's any questions, another one that's kind of good to have around is some compressed air. I always have one of those around because you do eventually spill some powder, especially the stuff that's real light and flaky. And you just want to give it a little, maybe in the trash can or something like that. Or out. Actually, it's best to do it outside in the grass. You don't want to be putting that in your trash can. It's best to reload where you don't have carpet because you're going to drop a primer and you're not going to be able to find it. And you don't want to be sucking those up in your vacuum cleaner. So that's a quick overview. I'm going to, because my phone's about history, it's got to be about shot now. And I kind of sped through that a little faster than I wanted to. Unfortunately, if I had my phone charged, I would have been able to. I can't use the headphones and charge at the same time. So, you guys want to yell at me for having an iPhone, now's the time to do it. But what I'm going to do, turn my phone off. I'm going to come back to the laptop. And if anybody wants to see anything, I can do it over there. I can, obviously it's right behind me. Or if you have any questions, because of YouTube's goofy policies, obviously I'm not going to go over load data. I'm not going to even talk about a whole lot about, overall, like the lengths that I load or the loads that I use. This is, I think, even a gray area maybe for some people. I don't know, but I figured, what the hell, let's talk about it. I love to reload, and I think it's worth it. So give me a couple of minutes. If you guys in the panel would go through and introduce yourselves, that'd be awesome. Kill a little bit of time while I can get over there, and we'll finish up the show. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right. I'll start. Hello, everyone. I'm FineApe1393. As you can see, I'm actually down in the reloading bench today, so you better appreciate it. I had to lug my damn desktop down here because I found out 5 minutes beforehand that my laptop does not work. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and GunTubes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
It's on.
Okay. I'm Sarge here at C4 Defense. I don't know much about reloading, but I'm actually very interested in this chat because it's something that I've been wanting to get into, and maybe this will be what pushes me that way. So I'm on my temporary setup. I'm on vacation, but I had to jump in on this one, so I'm glad for the invite.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tardot357. I don't reload. I have family members that reload and definitely been looking into it. Of course, you can check me out at Tardot357, and thank you for having me, Midnight, if you're still listening.
I'm Squibload. I've been reloading for a few years. I had some friends that were trying to push me to get into it, and it took them about 2 years pushing me, and I finally got off my butt and started buying stuff a little at a time and messing with it. And I got into it for the my first caliber was the same as MidnightRangeTM's 8mm Mauser. It's pretty expensive, but when you reload, it's not. There's some other calibers that I reload where when I'm there at the store looking at the price on the box, I'm there thinking I can reload it for less than this. Sometimes I'd put the box down and just gone home and made up my own. Sometimes components are easy to get and sometimes they're not. But after a while of reloading, you get to know where your local sources are. Or you get to know where to go online for that sort of thing. As far as procedure and whatnot, it's pretty much just the way Midnight Range did. It's not hard to do. There are some differences between people. It's just like going to the range. It's just like somebody who maybe is more of a revolver person, or somebody's more of a semi-auto person, or something like that. There are different brands, different tools that do the same job, different processes, but they all get you to the same place. So if you're getting into reloading, you're thinking about reloading, you have two different people explain it to you a little bit different. It's the same thing as anything else with shooting.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that worked.
I had to mute you because you were getting feedback from your iPhone
was it?
to your computer.
I thought I had it muted. Okay, sorry. Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely. Well, at least I know how to do this now if I want to do it, something like this. But did everybody go? Everybody want to talk? Or did everybody say their hellos? I didn't. Probably not. Huh? That wasn't all that long.
I didn't, but I jumped in at the last minute. So.
That's fine. Go ahead, Gary.
I jumped out so Clover could jump in. Anyway, Gizzard Gary, and I don't know anything about reloading. I'm just watching and trying to learn.
Yeah. Who else? Anybody else want to say hello?
I haven't said hi, but it's Clover Tech. You know who I am. I've got some questions. When do we start questions?
Whenever. You know way more about this than I do. Shit, and I don't know why you're asking me.
Yeah, but devil's advocate. I mean, like Squib said, everybody does it a little different.
Mm-hmm.
When you're measuring, now what I do is I set my caliper and I lock it, and then I just pass each round through there. It's much quicker.
Yeah.
And actually, what I do is I've got stands that my press is set on. So what I actually do is I either C clamp or I don't even know what they are, but they're like the spring clamps, like you can like Harbor Freight,
like the A-frame clamps.
Yeah, I guess something like that. I'll take and I'll clamp that to my frame, and then I don't actually have to hold it. I can just take it off the press, pass it through the caliper. You see what I'm saying? If it passes through, it's a little bit of resistance, whatever. It's fine.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I do something kind of similar, but not. Let me switch over to my screen so I can see what I'm. Okay, I got just this cheap digital caliper, and just for point of reference, I'm a machinist, so I use this, not this one, but a similar thing every day. What I'll do is I'll go on the book, and the cool thing about the digital calipers is like, okay, I got this dummy round 40. They've got this 0 button on there. All you do is 0 it, and then I can grab my next round, and it'll tell me whether I'm short or whether I'm long, because there's going to be a little bit of variance in your press and in each bullet. So, and I don't, unless I'm doing like test loads for accuracy, generally I don't check each one. I'll do maybe like a 1 in 5 or 1 in 10, at least until I realize, okay, I've loaded hundreds of these bullets. I only need to do a 1 in 20 or 1 in 10 or something like that.
Yeah. And 5,000s usually. I mean, as long as you're within 5,000s, you're usually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're getting really, really, precision, loading some really precision stuff. And then you want to double check, triple check, get everything the same weight, same length, so forth, so on.
Yeah, I generally don't check my my pistol stuff very often. Every once in a while, you know what I mean? Like you said, every however many rounds. My rifle, for like I haven't reloaded for my 308 yet, but that one I'll probably, just because I'm paranoid like that, like I'll check every one, I'm sure. But and if I probably took about half the amount of time that I wanted to kind of talk over there and make sure that I said everything correctly. So if I misspoke, please speak up, because I was really trying to rush through it before my phone died. So if I said anything wonky, don't be afraid to say something.
You were talking about the rhythm and whether you're running a single stage or turret or progressive, whatever. I mean, I don't know, that rhythm is really important. One thing that I'll do, particularly on rifle rounds, because I've got the same thrower, and I mean, pistol stuff, it's not necessarily that bad, but on some rifle stuff, it can take some time for that to actually throw.
Yeah.
Usually I've got enough time to hand trickle a charge in the time I can, before that gets through throwing the powder, I can finish loading the next round and hand trickle another charge, usually in between. So that essentially doubles my output.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that I've found that loader works great. Other than ball powder, the spherical powder, I actually have some test loads for 7.62 by 39 with a ball powder, and it didn't throw for shit. I had to do it by hand. But the other powders, stick powder, it worked fantastic, and obviously the flake powder is really easy because that's so slow. But yeah, the ball didn't work very well at all.
Now, do you have a thrower?
No, that's what I have. That's the only thing I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get a kit. I got my father-in-law got me the press separate, just the press. And I think that mindset's pretty. I can see both ways. Some people like to have sort of redundancy, and they want to have something. I just have not gotten a thrower. This is what I was given, and I've had great luck with it. So, I just kind of stick with it.
Well, it depends on your time and what you want your output to be. A thrower
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be inherently not going to be as accurate, but it's going to be quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Something else too. I was talking to Dead Horse and David Wright were in a chat this morning that I hopped in for just a couple of minutes. I was little man was eating breakfast or brunch. It was a little bit later, but they were talking about, David was talking about starting to reload so he could reload 50 BMG. This press is a Rock Chucker 4, and you are able to reload 50 in it. Some of the single stages you're not, but there's where you screw the die into the top, into that collet basically or whatever, you can actually take that collet out and screw the die directly into the top. You've got to reload 50, right, Clover? I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you load it on?
I've got the big Lee press, the big O press or whatever.
Okay.
I will tell you two things with the 50. Number one, you better bolt it down to something mucho solid.
Yeah, that's actually what I
floor, preferably.
Yeah.
And an extended handle.
That's
really,
exactly what I told him this morning. Yeah.
Really helps. And it's still, 20 rounds of size and 50, and it's like you fought a gorilla, dude. I mean, it's just, you don't got to lift weights if you do that. Seriously.
Yeah, I know. Even when I do, like I have, even with 8mm and stuff, sometimes when they're, when the inside's dirty, if one of them didn't get cleaned real well, that extra little bit of drag is enough to really, when you're resizing it, I can imagine what the hell a 50 would be like. That'd be brutal.
Well, any type of thick brass is going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless really of the length, how long it is or whatever, that's do a lot more with the thickness, I think. And when you're talking belted magnums can be rough too.
Yeah. If anybody out in the chat, let's see who's out in the chat, by the way. We have a lot of people. We had a bunch of people here earlier. Patriot, well, you're in here too. That guy's wife, General Relativity, C4, you're in here. Mel, what's going on, buddy? Hottie, Tardot's out there, Gizzard's out there. Mad Sexy, Roosted, Ape. Yeah, see ya. Who else did I see? Was it HVS is out there. How you doing, man? Good to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you in the chat before. It's good to see you. Grim, Rock Humper. I got a lot of people out there. This is awesome. We got 14 viewing now. Sorry about the slow start. Zippy's out there. I have Gunpowder. I had a miserable start. Could not figure out how to run my phone and computer at the same time. I got a miserable lag, and then I had some horrible feedback, so it was just not working out real well. But I know for next time. So if we ever do something like this again, it'd be kind of cool.
Hello, George.
Oh, George here. Where's George? Oh, that George. I thought we were talking about Gary's George. I'm like, well, we haven't seen George.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at.
Hopefully he's in the house somewhere, right?
I hope so.
Tomcatting around.
Yeah. Anyway, so if anybody has any questions out in the chat,
I would
Now-
say
Awesome.
he'd be pussyfooting around.
There you go. Now you were talking earlier about the seat and the crimp. So when you pull that die out and you do another caliber, you switch to a different projectile.
Right.
Do you just go through and set that up again every single time, or do you have dummy rounds that you throw your dummy round in, zip the die down, and you're ready to go?
Yeah, I usually have a dummy round for every caliber.
Every projectile.
Yeah, just I mean, and I'm not right. I pretty much run one projectile for each thing. I'm not loading a whole lot of different stuff. So, yeah. And with the rifle rounds, with my 8mm, I don't run a crimp. But with the 7.62, I do, and the 223 or 5.56 or whatever, I'll probably do a light crimp with that too. Now the projectiles I got for the 223 are Canalord, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, it's just a little easier.
Well, it depends on the length that you're going to load them at. Because sometimes those Canalords aren't in the right place. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Clay's out there in the Hawaii's out there, Relativity's out there, G-Web. And Clay's out there on the gun channel side too. I just refreshed that. So thank you guys for watching.
I've got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And I just put it in the chat. What is a dummy round in reference to reloading?
Basically, what I just made was a dummy round.
Well, no, what you made was
it's
a
unprimed.
squib
right.
was an explosion in potential. Here,
Yeah,
let me
I
grab
primed
this.
that. Yeah.
Okay, here's a bunch of 300 blackouts. Basically, all it is taking a size piece of brass without a primer or anything and just loading a bullet to length.
Yep.
Like, these are some polymer bullets. And I'll load up a couple of them for, like, semi-autos just to kind of cycle through.
I'll leave the primer. I'll leave primers in. That way
Well,
I've got that way I've got some resistance to the firing pin a little bit. But then mine are also marked. I use a Sharpie, some type of permanent marker, and draw an X or a line, or draw something on a case
Mm-hmm.
to know that
So
it's not
basically,
a misfire.
So dummy round has a projectile and no powder. A blank has powder and no projectile, correct?
Well,
Yeah.
and no live primer. You don't want a live primer either.
Right.
Yeah, so that's like what I'll do with that one that I just made is I'll pull the bullet. I'll just throw the bullet back in with my other ones, and I'll put the I'll just put that case in with my other cases that are ready to be reloaded. Usually, I don't think I have any right now, but usually I'll have different Ziploc bags with bullets in different or cases in different stages. It'll be labeled dirty or tumbled or primed, cleaned and primed or whatever. And that way, you don't get them all mixed up. I don't usually have a whole lot of that stuff, but every once in a while I'll just come down and I'll, while little man's watching cartoons or something, and I'll just, deprime some and keep them in a bag. It's not a fast process for me.
No.
On handgun calibers, roughly how much does it cost you to make like that 40 round versus purchasing one?
Oh boy, it's been
Just
a little
in
while.
general.
It
can run anywhere from being like a third of the cost to like within a couple of cents of what a box of ammo. It all depends on what projectiles are going for, what powder you're getting, primers.
And I'm not holding you to this, but just say a $15 box of 40. You say roughly $5 you could make one for.
Probably
if you already had
7.
brass.
Yeah, if you have the brass, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I started reloading. I wanted to start reloading. I mean, because it really interested me. My father-in-law is big into it. So, like as an example for the 8mm, if you wanted, and my plans for the 8mm, him and I always talked about going hog hunting, and I thought, what a cool rifle to take hog hunting, right? So to buy a box of locally Federal Power Shocks, right? 8mm Mauser, 150 grain, I think they are, 170 grain. They were running like $35 for 20 rounds. Really, really pricey, 35 or 38.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's expensive to buy American stuff for it. And then if you go to somewhere and you buy like Privy, you can get them for like 18 or 19 bucks a box, which isn't too bad, right? When I first started loading for it, which is what I can load it for now because I obviously still have the same powder and stuff. I think I was loading it for $9. I think it was $9, and that was with a 9 or $12. I don't remember, but that was with a hunting round. That was with a Nosler ballistic tip, 180 grain, like kind of an expensive round because I, at the time, thought I was going to hunt for it and I wanted like a nice, something cool to hunt with. But if you're using if you can find cheap, even pulled bullets, I mean, geez, you could probably load a box of 20 for a couple of bucks if you get them really cheap. So. Yeah, I mean, that's just one example. And that's kind of an extreme example because that's a weird caliber that normally people don't buy expensive rounds for. They just shoot like surplus or whatever.
Well, the number one thing with reloading, everybody, is the first question they ask is, how much money do you save? And if you value your time at all, unless you're loading really expensive stuff, you're not going to end up saving money.
Right.
Because even if you do go to a Dillon, or some other type of a progressive press where you can knock out 400 or 500 rounds in an hour, you've got the monetary investment in that equipment. So you've got more ground to make up before you're saving money.
Right.
Yeah, so I've talked to different gun channels members in the past about this, and that has come up. And my thing's been, don't buy reload equipment for 9mm. Don't buy reload equipment for 223 Remington. Don't buy it for something that is very common, very available, and very inexpensive. And 2 people on gun channels said, but I shoot a lot of that because I compete or I do a lot of practicing and if you're a competitive shooter and you're just cranking out thousands of rounds of 9mm every year, yeah, at that point, yeah, it is affordable then to get into reloading with a caliber like 9mm or 223 Remington. But
I've said
that you get into it for the expensive calibers, the 30-06, the 8mm, the 44 Magnum. I can shoot my 44 Magnum. I can make 44 Magnum and 44 special reloads with all different types of bullets inexpensively, and I could just go bang away for an entire afternoon with my lever action rifle, and it's not that expensive. But if I was going to take my M9, I might just run down to a sporting goods store and buy a couple boxes of shells, that sort of thing. So make it worth your while, make it worth your time, make it worth the cost of all this stuff by justifying it maybe with either volume or a really expensive caliber or calibers.
Yeah, I'd say
I think you have to be careful with volume, though. If you're talking about that competitive shooter that shoots thousands of rounds a year, and he says, well, I'm going to get into reloading because, that'll save me money. Well, that time that then he's spending trying to reload, if he's not, I mean, now don't get me wrong, he gets a fully automated Dillon 1050 or something like that, that's a different story. But if he's using single stage or turret press or a lesser progressive press, the time he's spending loading is time that he could be out on the range practicing.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So he's trading one for the other, and I don't know that that's a good trade-off to do.
I'd say with me, yeah, I got into it, and I was glad I got into it for the hobby, and being able to save money on the 8mm was a bonus. And then once I got into it, and I'd buy a new gun in a different caliber, it was just kind of a bug I had. I was like, man, if I got that gun, I want to be able to reload for it. Just because I'm more on the hobby side of it than somebody like that. Yeah, if you shoot even competitively, but you don't shoot very much competitively, a couple times a year, it's not going to be worth it, unless you really enjoy doing it, And there's a lot of people that I talk to. Dead Horse was one of these guys, and him and I had a kind of a nice conversation the other day about it. And we kind of are like-minded. I think now he's progressed more into doing it faster or whatever, but he started out like I did, and it was more of it was relaxing, it's fun, it's rewarding, and we all need a hobby, right? So and it's for me, I one of the things that I really enjoy about being a reloader too is to let people know that I'm a reloader. And I think when you talk to people that aren't into guns, and I've had this experience, because I bring it up to people that I work with or whatever. People say, "Oh, you got a lot of guns, or you shoot, or you're into guns, or whatever." I was like, "Yeah, I love to shoot. I'm a big fan of guns. I've recently gotten into, more of the older stuff, but I love to reload. It's so cool to be able to reload your own stuff. It turns it into like a hobby or a craft more. And I think people look at that and they're like, oh, that's really cool that you can do that. It's a skill, and not just, it turns you into somebody it turns you from some dude that they assume just goes out to the range because they find out that you have an AK-47 or an AR-15 and just throw mag after mag after mag down range and just do mag dumps all day and be like, I killed the shit out of everything. Or, it turns into, from their mind, it turns you from that into like a craftsman, somebody that's into the nuts and bolts of the hobby. And I think that's really cool. I mean, that's people say, what's your go-to when you talk to people that aren't necessarily into guns? Telling them I'm a reloader and why is a really good thing for me. It's worked out very well.
Yeah. To kind of, I don't know, wrap this up or add my 2 cents. You're not going to really save money. You're going to probably spend about the same amount of money or more, but you'll shoot more. And yes, where you're going to save the money, it's going to be big calibers like 50 BMG or 45-70 like this, or it's going to be on rare or obscure calibers like 41 Magnum or
even older stuff. See, I'm real big into the early Americana around 1900 period. A lot of those revolvers and stuff like that, and like 32 shorts, and I mean you can't find that stuff nowhere.
No.
So you pretty much have to cast it and reload it.
Yep. And for I forgot who said about reloading for 9mm and that or competition. For like 3-gun or something where you just have to have 9mm and blast, sure, go ahead and buy the stuff. I know a couple people who do what is it? It's not IPSC, or basically they're taking 9mm and they're loading it hotter so it meets the, I don't know, what is it, the major category for power. So they've got the extra.
It's called a power factor.
Yeah, power factor. Now, granted, they were saying that, oh yeah, I can only reload this stuff like 2 or 3 times and then it's shot. So not that I would recommend or condone loading ammunition to something that is hotter than it's meant to be.
Right.
I'd say get a better gun or better caliber.
Over on the gun channel side, Clay was saying back a little while ago, I'm just scrolling back through. He says, I hear dryer sheets will make your brass bounce off the extractor. I'm not sure.
Wah, wah, wah.
I don't use bounce. I use the generic ones because I'm balling on a budget.
Right.
He said he hears typical auto cartridges don't need trimming. Straight wall.
You don't trim much on a straight wall.
It takes a lot of, I mean, it's quite a few. I haven't had to trim any, and I mean, I have a couple that have been fired a few times, not a ton. but I've never had to trim them.
And if you shoot subsonic, even in a necked cartridge, if you shoot subsonic, you've got to trim very, very little.
Yeah, I've got a box of 45 autos that's been loaded 25 times. Hasn't moved or anything, but that's because it's a very low pressure, so you're not stressing it. And plus it's straight, so it's not like trying to expand back to front like a bottleneck would.
Yep. That's what I was getting ready to ask. How many times can you typically fire this brass before it's unstable?
If it's not super, super hot, bunches.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to say indefinitely, but I mean, when you start looking at 45 and stuff, or calibers that are, or if you start loading like, larger calibers, really light, obviously, like people talk about 44 mag and 44 special. Guys will load 44 mags, but they'll load them really, really light.
I usually with my brass, I start running into extraction issues with the head long before it's the integrity of the cartridge itself.
Yeah, with like pistol
out of the chamber.
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
With like revolver cartridges and stuff like that, 38 special, honestly, they'll last almost indefinitely. What's going to happen is, got a 357 here that I got actually a roll crimp on. Okay, if you can kind of see that line between the bullet there, on most low pressure cartridges like the 38s or your 45s, what's going to happen is the brass is going to either work harden, or in the case of using a crimp, it's just going to get crimped and let go so many times that either the neck's going to crack or it's just going to lose its elasticity.
Yeah, it gets brittle.
Yeah. So,
and that's another thing too that I didn't talk about is
do either of you anneal?
What'd you say
again?
Do either of you guys anneal anything?
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
I haven't gotten to that yet.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. But a lot of people, if you look at a cartridge, and a lot of people see a discoloration on, especially rifle rounds, and they wonder what that discoloration is, where it's like a little bit duller. The brass is duller. It's because they annealed it. They heated it up and cooled it. And Clover, you do it yourself. I mean, you'd be more specific with it, but you heat them up and then you let them cool down, and it softens the brass slightly. And that way, when you're sizing and crimping, it doesn't crack or split as easily. It's not as brittle.
Yeah, you don't do it, every single time, but
right.
No, just for a point of reference, this 4570 here, it's actually new Hornady brass. You get that up in there. This all-lead one. You can see no discoloration. And this semi-jacket here, it's Privy Partisan. You kind of see how it's kind of discolored up here, but
almost silverish
down there. Yeah, that's basically a sign of annealing, and it's mostly on, if you get like mil-serp or mil-spec 556 or 223, that'll usually be annealed as well. So that's actually a NATO requirement.
Privy does a good job with their ammo. Privy's what I reload for my 8mm. I bought a few boxes and I just reload that. It is annealed. I will say, and this is something that a lot of people you don't realize until you get into it, is how different brass cases are. I reload Privy because it was inexpensive, but I actually have had the best luck accuracy-wise with Privy with my 8mm, and it's also the lightest brass that I reload for. So it's like the perfect storm, I guess. I mean, it just happens to work out that way that I've had the best luck with it. But the difference between Privy and like Remington is pretty significant when you look at weight-wise. And if you look at the external size of the shell, obviously it's the same. So that means it's thicker when it's thinner, or when it's thinner when it's lighter, obviously. So that can affect longevity too with brass. The thinner brass isn't obviously going to hold up as well, but it's still not generally an issue unless you're running really heavy loads. There's there's things to look for at the base too. You'll see like some discoloration down towards the base of the shell, like a little line that'll go around. It'll be like a little bit lighter. That's like a stress mark, and you have to be careful with that because you can get case head separation. And if you would get something like that in like a semi-auto, it would be problematic because if the shell sticks, but the case head gets ripped off, now you're stuck with a case stuck in your chamber with no head on it. So you have to have some fancy tools, not fancy tools, but they have tools to help get those out. But so, I mean, every time when you reload, especially depending on how much you reload, you take the time to check your cases and make sure everything looks good,
Yeah.
So with that said, do y'all generally try to stick with like just a one brand, like going and buying a bag of one brand, or do you try to save money and do like the bulk brass you can get online and stuff?
It depends, because if you're reloading for precision, if you're reloading for accuracy, I should say, you'll eventually try and find one that works the best. If you're just reloading for plinking, some people don't separate their head stamps at all. I do. I run in batches. Just I don't know, just because. So I'll load a whole bunch of PMC, and then after I go through that, I'll go into a bag of Winchester that I have or something like that. I mean, and there's usually with handgun ammo, the difference is pretty negligible. You probably won't even notice it. Where you might see the bigger difference is with larger caliber rifle rounds. With, like I talked about, thicknesses and brass, you might see the most difference in those. I would imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What's going to be really different for internal case volume is going to be like your 30-06 and 308. These are, if anyone who shoots a Grand or an M1A either knows this or should know this, that military brass, it is a much thicker and denser case, and therefore it has a less internal volume. So if your manual here says, 168 grain bullet, I need 30 grains of super powder, that is maximum, that's going to be potentially a overpressure in mill brass compared to commercial brass.
Yeah, you don't think that it would be that much of a difference, just off the top of your head, you're like, how much different can it actually be? But when you're talking about thickness across the entire surface area of that cartridge,
right,
you're making up some volume for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where when I first started doing 8mm, I really started because I was learning. I really wanted to try and learn the craft, quote unquote. So I was weighing all my brass. I was, doing all that kind of stuff, and I was writing down, writing down all the weights, even so much as differences in weights of brass from the same company from different years. I had some old brass from Remington that weighed different than the new brass from Remington. So it's pretty interesting when you get into it. It is kind of it's kind of a nerd chat.
Well, I mean,
as far as reloading goes.
I separate all mine out too, and then something to be said, because you can get on and buy, like Lake City 5.56, for example. Brass is everywhere, or at least it used to be. I'm sure it probably still is. And there's different years even in the head stamp on that, and I know that even from year to year, the thickness can be different. So
yeah, well, I mean. Brass is product, and product is money, right? So at some point, a company says, hey, you know what? Things are tight. Let's knock off 2%, or 1% of the brass and save ourselves some money. I mean, I wouldn't imagine. I'm sure that conversation happens a lot with ammo companies. Mad Sexy has, he says, factory loads blowing out the primers. You can lose primers for a couple of different reasons.
Where's that little bastard?
One is overcharged and one is undercharged. You can actually lose primers because you don't have enough powder. And that's something I learned too, is I was getting primers pushing out and couldn't figure out why the hell my primers were pushing out. And it was because it was on the low end of my test loads.
Mm-hmm. I've had that happen with revolvers, and the cylinder jam up on you, and it sucks, man. It sucks when you get a primer pushes back on a revolver. It's not fun.
I would imagine, yeah. But what happens is the rifle round goes off, it obviously pushes against the bolt face, right? Two things happen that kind of work together to cause this. Is the primer, the back is against the bolt face. If the pressure is not enough, then I guess that can be one factor. But also when the primer goes off and the burn happens and all that pressure is built up, it forces the primer out if it can, and then you'll get the primer popped out. That's probably a really crappy way to describe that. Clover, I'm sure you have a better way to describe what I'm trying to say. I think it's a combination of those two things, because it doesn't smash the primer up against the bolt face, which flattens the primer out and expands the primer into the primer pocket. And it can actually just kind of slip out a little bit. Unless that's totally a brain damaged way to say it.
That's a pretty good way to explain it. And that's also, you're also talking about headspace,
right,
when you're dealing with that. Headspace is between the bolt, basically, and the case head.
Mm-hmm. There was one or two other ones in here. Blowing out. So that's the light end of it. And then obviously, if you're going super heavy with your loads, or you're doing, and it's okay to do heavy loads. There are compressed loads where it's you actually put the powder in there and you pack the powder with the bullet. But again, you're you're not necessarily unsafe doing that, but most times you won't see compressed loads, other than very specific situations, and then they can get dangerous if you're doing it when you're not careful, or you're not supposed to, or you shouldn't.
Old school thought is black powder, compress, smokeless. No, that's old. You can compress smokeless, but that's old school thought on that.
Jorge sent me a $500 super chat. So as soon as that hits my PayPal account, I'll let you know, and we'll answer that question. He says, "How do you get into reloading?" Buy a bunch of stuff. That's kind of why I wanted to do this chat a little bit, was because I had a couple of people say, "Oh, I want to get into it. Where do I start?" So I wanted to show my setup, because I think my setup versus most other people on gun channels is going to be simpler. You can get into it and buy some kits, and some of the kits are really good. The thing with the kits is a lot of times you outgrow them pretty quick, and you want to add to them. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't mind doing that, or if you have the ability to learn and then maybe pass on some of your equipment. I have a brother-in-law that's thinking about getting into it. He has the dies and some of the other stuff that he can come over and use my press or whatever if he wants to, but he doesn't have the press yet. Or no, he did just get a press actually, but he doesn't have the other stuff. I could, if I would happen to get something that he doesn't have, I get a new one and pass on mine. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, how do you get into reloading? The internet's awesome. There's a lot of cool information on the internet. But you never really get the information off the internet. You never get the pros and cons of things. It seems like everybody either wants to say that something is total trash or that something is awesome. So it's kind of nice to talk to somebody if you know somebody, or you're on gun channels. Holy hell, there's tons of us that reload. This is the best place to ask. And you'll get people to say, oh, this is really good if you want to do this, but if you're going to do this, maybe you go with a different product. I have a super cheap tumbler. Works great. I love it. For me to get into something that uses the stainless steel pins would be ridiculous. It's crazy. So yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, and the internet can be iffy too. You got to be real careful. I mean, don't ever just jump on one channel, even mine, and watch a reloading video and go, oh, here we go, and then start trying to crank stuff out. Do not do that. Books are very important. You said that when you first kicked off. Books are extremely important. So, get the books, read the books, the Lee book, the Lyman book, those particular two. Actually, Lyman has several. I'm looking at 3 over there on my shelf now that are all Lyman. The information, they've got load data, but in the front, they've got all kinds of information. And then be leery of people that are just throw out load data to you willy-nilly, and then don't give you the process behind it. Like if you go in and you get into reloading and you're talking to somebody, and they load a whatever it is, 124 grain and a whatever it is, 9mm. You're like, oh, cool, I'd like to do that. What's your load data? And they go, oh, it's 12 grains of this. And they don't, and they're not with reserve. They're not saying, hey, what you need to do, try this powder, but work up your ladders and the whole process of finding your load. If they just are throwing numbers out to you, I would be leery of those people, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The old Ronald Reagan quote.
Trust but verify.
Yes.
Yes. The thing you got, or people online need to remember, is people online can say just about anything. However, if a company prints a book and it's bad data, they'll and if they don't rectify it, they have liability issues, so they usually make sure. Or they'll come out with a statement saying, hey, the 77th edition of this book has a typo. Please disregard this, or please get rid of it, and we'll send you a new one. So,
yep.
We got if you're done with this topic, Roosted Films, and I think it was Slim.
Slim, yeah.
We're asking between between the Hornady and Lee single stage or semi-progressive turret presses. I threw out there an RCBS Rock Chucker. Just if you just want a very good, solid single stage, it's good. Otherwise, I've got this Lee. I'm trying to remember if this was the Classic 1000 or whatever. It's got the.
That's the Classic by the base on yours. That's the Classic, I would think.
Yeah, it's the 4-hole ones, and yes, these are very nice. And actually, I retrofitted my RCBS right here with these Hornady lock and load bushings. So, I like this for doing pistol and all that. For rifle rounds or anything where I might have to do a little bit more oomph, I just like the fact that this has a lot less bearing surface to push on, whereas this has, that entire plate's got to take the strain. So, but both have served me very well, and my dad's got one of the old model. It's not quite as heavy as this. It's the old 3-hole model. And he's loaded thousands and thousands of rounds of 223 on it. Yeah. So
I've loaded 300 Weatherby, which is about as big as you can, as far as caliber wise, you can get on a Lee, turret like that. And I don't know. I'm a big proponent to say, for no more than it's going to cost you, to go ahead and get the turret. I'm just not it's okay having a single stage. I get it. But, you can get 3 more holes up there and the ability to do things a little more quicker, a little more smoother.
And there are some things you can do with the single stage that you can't do with a turret or progressive. For example, loading a really, really large caliber, you're going to need that single stage if it's threaded, 7/8. and everything else is 3/4, whatever it is. That's one thing. People think if they get a lead press, they've got to get lead dies. The dies are interchangeable. A lot of the stuff is interchangeable between brands and styles to an extent. So you don't have to use Lee lube and Lee press and Lee dies, and you'll find this stuff out if you're getting into it. And I would suggest seeing if you could start out by purchasing some used equipment. Use press.
Like 24/7
find a good deal on that. You may, even with an old one, you may find you like this particular style and you want to get another one like that. You want to get another one by that brand. Or if you know other people who reload, use their equipment. Say, hey, man, can I pull the lever on your progressive a couple times? I mean, they're not going to say no if they know you. And you might be like, oh, this is kind of cool, or no, I don't like this. Everybody kind of eventually not only figures out their own process that's still within the rules of safety, but also figures out how they like to lay out their stuff, or what order they want to do it in. If you don't necessarily have to do it in the same exact order as Joe over there, or whatever it is, or what brand of case lube they use, or somebody wants all carbide because they don't want to use any case lube. Or some people like me, I use case lube whether I have carbide or not, or whatever. It's just a matter of preference. I keep spare parts for everything I've got. I've broke plenty of this stuff. You can buy replacement parts on the websites, and you figure it out over time. I mean, my first scale was a beam scale. I really didn't like it. I used it. I eventually got a digital. I still have that beam scale. I can verify the digital against the beam if I need to. I'm not getting rid of it. It's just simple little things like that, that over time, if you get into it, you're going to spend some money. You don't have to drop $1,000 on day one. Get into it. Just get a universal decapping die and a single stage press and just start depriming your brass just to get an idea of what it's like to run a piece of brass up into a die. You're going to use it later anyhow. It's just
something else.
There's different things you can do to get into it a little at a time, and eventually you'll figure out what you like.
One of the things that when I was talking to Dead Horse and David today, he was talking about, they were talking about it. And I actually jumped in. He had the Hangout link in the chat there, which was cool. And I hopped in real quick and told him about being able to do 50 on my press. And he's like, "Oh man, my local pawn shop or local gun shop, I can't remember what he said, has a used one in there for like $50 or $60." And I was like, "That's perfect. I mean, if if that's the same one I have, and I mean, even if it cost you 60, 70, even if it cost you $200, $250 just to be able to do 50, and that's all you're going to do, man, saving $4 a round."
It's going to get pricey on 50 because everything is special.
Yeah. Just to, this is kind of a point to that. Like bullets, unless they're like premium bullets, most companies will sell them in boxes of 100 or let's take 44 Magnum, because that's, bullets from 180 grains up to like 330 or so. I've got boxes of Hornadies over there. The 180s, the 200s, the 240s, those are all 100 round boxes. The second you get above 300 grain or to 300 grains and above, everything ships in half quantities. Mm-hmm. I know, like
some of the 50 stuff is is by the 20.
Yeah. Actually, just saw a box of the 50 AMAXs at the Cabela's the other day.
Well, we were talking to him about pulled bullets too.
Mm-hmm.
The 50 pulleds.
But that's part of it, though. You can buy a 1 pound jug of powder instead of a 4 or 8. You can buy 50 bullets or 100 bullets instead of 500 or 1,000. You can buy a box of 100 primers instead of getting a case of, what's in a case, 1,000, something like that. Mm-hmm. And you can find out what brands you like or what works for you. Record your data, load up a batch, take them out to the range, try them out. If they suck, okay, maybe you need to change your powder, or you just go, all right, we're not going to go with these anymore. Or if you really like, make a note of it. And now you might develop your plinking round or your hunting round or whatever it is. Now, next time, instead of buying 50 or 100, you're buying 250, 500, or 1,000 bullets, and you're getting that volume discount. The same thing with the powder. I've got a lot of 1 pound jugs, so it looks like I've got a whole lot of powder, but I load a lot of different calibers. Some of these powders you can use rifle, pistol. I've got I think 2 jugs of shotgun powder that I can use in 45 ACP. So if you can find a certain powders that you use more of, start buying that in 4 or 8 pound jugs to get the volume savings. Or if you find a certain powder that you can use in your revolver and your rifle or something like that, start buying that in bulk. So with reloading, you have the potential you can start off small, so you're not breaking the bank, and so you're not buying 8 pounds of something you're never going to use. And then you can move up later and get that bulk volume discount.
It's all about, it's really for reloading is really for somebody that's frugal minded. Just because of shopping the components, what is it? Is this cheaper? Is that cheaper? Is this combination of things, going to be cheaper for me? That sort of thing.
Like Sorry, I'm checking the. I forget that I keep forgetting I have to refresh the gun channel side. So
yeah,
I know
you're talking about 50 BMG just in powder. I mean, you're just going to burn through a whole lot. Like a pound of powder is 7,000 grains. 308 might use about, say, 40 grains of powder. That couple of my 4570s might use 50 grains of powder. 50 BMG, you're looking at,
it's over
175
right?
to 200 grains of powder.
Yeah.
So you're looking at multiples of powder. So yeah, that 1 pound or 4 pound ain't going to run you the same as, a 45 auto or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. 600 and what is it? It's like 648 grain, I think it is, the surplus pulls I've got. I can squeeze 20 with just a little bit left over out of a pound. So it
Land Run's sorry, Clever.
Oh, you're fine.
Land Run is out there saying he says he runs Varget for 4 different rifles. That's kind of how I am with pistol too. I run I'm running Hodgson's Universal clays in 38, 9, 40. And you could load it for damn near anything. It's fine. It's fine, especially for plinking. And there's a couple of powders, like Varget is one of those. I'm going to be trying Varget out for the first time for 223. But my 8mm, for my 8mm, I'm using 4064 by IMR. And that's another one of those powders. It's like damn near anything you look up in the reloading book, you can use those 2 for. They're very, not universal, but they're quote unquote universal.
4064 is awesome.
Yeah. That's what I'm using that's what I've gotten the best results for my 8mm. I bought the Varget because I was at a damn flea market kind of yard sale thing, and I came across one dude that had a table with reloading stuff on it. One of the Vargets was open, one of them wasn't, but the one that was open smelled really nice and smelled fresh. And I bought some projectiles and some brass and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking to get into it, those Craigslist 24-hour gun show, you know what I mean, on gun channels, the state sales are awesome. And if you don't know what you're doing and you got a buddy that does, drag them along, buy them lunch. And, just have them come like, hey, there's a bunch of reloading stuff at this yard sale. I'll buy you lunch. Will you come over with me and help me look through it? Yeah, of course. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I love doing that stuff. It's fun to look through those things, first of all, and look through the stuff and make sure the dyes look like they're in good shape. Make sure the powders look like they're in good shape. Calavera says, I've heard that a problem with 8-pound powder jug has a tendency to get moisture damage by the bottom. Any truth to that? If it's held indoors in a consistent temperature, not real hot, not real cold, I can't imagine And the jug seal, I mean, they always have like a rubber or a plastic seal or something.
Yeah.
So when you screw them back in, I would imagine that the amount of time that you actually have that jug open, you're not going to get much moisture in there. Now, I don't know if you can throw one of those little desiccant packs in there or not. I don't know. I've never heard of anybody doing that.
If you had it open at 98% humidity all day long, and then decided in a day, I guess I'm done reloading, and you closed it, yeah, maybe. But in general, it's you dump what you need into your hopper, and then you close it. Not just so you don't get moisture in there, so you don't knock it over and spill it. So the seals on them, whether they're the old metal cans or the new plastic ones, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Too Hottie saying he hasn't had good luck with the ram shot. Ram shot's really fast, right?
I've never used
not necessarily. No, it depends on which one.
He said the ram shot tack.
Yeah, ram shot tack. Yeah.
I don't know. I have.
Pull up a burn chart.
Just while we're
that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for my
dead air.
chart.
Yeah.
If you're wanting kind of one powder for pistol, it's a little dirty, but this stuff has been around since the 30s. They've reformulated it a couple times, but Alliance Unique.
Yeah.
This will run 9mm, 38, 45 is what I've been using it in. And if you reload shotgun, I'm pretty sure this is. It doesn't say on this. On the old cans, it was shotgun/pistol powder.
No, actually, yeah, I've got my burn chart here. It goes from 1 to 114 because I have the 49th version. I'm sure the newer ones have more, but ram shot is 71, so it's a little bit past halfway as far as burn rate.
Ram shot is the brand. Tack is the
tack ram
type.
shot.
Yeah. I think when somebody doesn't know anything about reloading and they hear us talking and we're talking about Bullseye and Unique and Varget and stuff, they're going, "What the heck are they saying?" So tack is what ram shot is the manufacturer and tack is the particular type. There's all these names we're throwing out are just they're sort of like, I guess the difference between 7-Up and Pepsi and whatever. So.
Yeah.
Crystal Clear or Mountain Thunder.
Well, tack's right there, and I know several people that use tack. I don't. I'm not a big fan of any of the ram shot stuff for no other reason than I've just never really had a reason to switch over to it and play with it that much. But tack is right there with like IMR 4895 and IMR 8208, which are great powders. So it's right in that area as far as burn rate. So not quite as hot as a 4198 or a Reloader 7 or getting up into some of them, getting up into Magnum pistol powders.
The reason I brought that up is when a bunch of reloaders get together and talk, and you've got somebody who wants to get into it or somebody who doesn't know anything about it, hears them talk, especially when they start talking about specific little quirks of certain rounds or something extra you got to do that's kind of not really covered by the general instructions in the front of the book or something like that. I think it intimidates some people. I think it intimidates them into going, I'm just not that mechanically inclined, or I'm never going to figure this out. You'll figure it out. You start playing with it, you'll figure it out. It's not going to blow up in your face if you follow the safety procedures. You'll figure it out. You'll get to know the nomenclature. You'll get to know some of the more popular stuff. You'll figure it out.
But that's a good point to bring up, though, because and the one thing when you mentioned that about the jargon and brands and names and types and that sort of thing is like with Hodgdon. Okay, you've got let's say we're talking Hodgdon and let's say we're talking 4198, right? You've got an H and then you've got an IMR.
Okay, yeah, like here I go. 4895, there's IMR.
Right.
Here's H.
An H. So you got to be real careful. One is not the other.
No.
Yeah.
This is older. This is newer, and it's supposed to be temperature insensitive, but they are not. Even in books that list them, there's might be as much as 3 grains of difference in load data between max of one and max of the other.
Yeah, I'll say, you're talking about different powders, different usages, and there are times where you'll find, even in the books, and I had this happen. I found not the book. It was, if you buy Lee dyes, they come with some load data with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I used that load data because I had a powder, and it had a load there for it and everything. It was legit, and it was just a horrible powder. I mean, it was a horrible powder for 8mm. It just, the burn rate was off or something. I don't know. I mean, I got about to the middle of my test rounds and I had 2 hang fires, which was weird. It's like shooting a muzzle loader. You pull the trigger and it goes click, boom.
1 potato, 2 potato.
Yeah, takes a second, and that's where people always say if something's wrong, keep it pointed down range, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why. So I had 2 hang fires, and I thought, okay, this is weird. I'm gonna shoot, and I got to the next step up in my test rounds. I thought, okay, well, let me shoot one of these. Maybe it'll straighten itself out. And that's when I had my squib. Click, poof, like a really weird sort of pop sound. And before I even opened the bolt, I smelled, this is so weird, I smelled like rotten eggs, like ammonia.
Sulfur.
Really weird. Yeah, sulfur, exactly.
Almost like it was black powder.
And I opened up the bolt, brought the bolt back, and the case came out, just like it should. But inside the chamber, or inside the chamber or whatever, was the powder was like maybe 1/3 of the way burnt. It was like yellow and cakey, and it smelled like sulfur. It was really weird. And looked down the barrel, and I had a bullet stuck about 1/3 of the way down. So not dangerous in itself, other than, I mean, if you're aware of the problem and you have a squib load, you got to pound it out or whatever. But yeah, that's a bad powder choice. I was using something so I ditched that, and that's when I went to the 4064, and the skies opened up and everything was awesome.
Talking about introducing someone to reloading or that. Okay, this is a 7th edition Hornady reloading book. It's outdated by a couple editions. You get this, and in the first bit of the book, it goes over the basics of cartridges, what happens when it's firing, and then they even have a wonderful introduction to reloading basics. If you're not sure you want to get into this, most of the larger box stores that I've been to, they might have, one of these, one of Sierra's, one of Spear's books out for a reference. Just thumb through that, or just buy the book, read through it. I mean, if you just like shooting, it's just kind of interesting. Like, oh, I didn't know that there is a cartridge that could throw a 40 grain ballistic tip at 4,500 feet per second.
Yeah, that's the Lyman book. Let me tell you a secret. I'm gonna give you the best advice in the world before you get into reloading. Whatever book you buy, I don't care. I'm a big fan of the Lyman book. Put it in your bathroom. Put it in your bathroom and just use it, or put it in your wherever you want to do your reading, and just go through it from page 1 and all the way through. I find myself too, if I'm just if I'm down here and the little man's watching cartoons or something, I'll flip through to different calibers and just read up on them. And when you get to the different calibers, it actually gives you a little history of each one. 30-30, just flipped open the 30-30 Winchester. Winchester introduced the 30 Winchester center fire cartridge in the new Model 94 lever action in 1895. And, it goes down, it gives you a little paragraph. Super cool. Really interesting. And it's great for, great knowledge-wise. And it's kind of fun to learn all that stuff too. It's like Daily Gun Show when they do pop quizzes, right? Yeah. Just open up the Lyman book, make your own pop quizzes.
Yeah, even this was a 2nd edition Sierra Reloading Manual. This is from 1977. we've got basics in it, and I would say get a newer manual. But if you find, something like this and the state sale for cheap, it's still good reading. Double check some of the loads, because some of these powders they might have reformulated. I know they did for Blue Dot and Unique.
Yeah.
And well, like this, it has some older cartridges. So if you're into, like, say, 41 Magnum or 41 Action Express, that might be in here. Whereas, the 12th edition of this, because this is a book, it costs money to print. They're like, no one really shoots 44, 38, 44. So let's just leave that out of there.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying earlier with the 49th versus the 50th. I don't think I have 300 blackout in here. I'm 99% sure I don't.
Hey, fellas.
Hey, Duarte.
Hey, Hottie, what's going on?
Not much. Hey, I just jumped in. We were talking about the ram shot and the issues that I've had with it. I started out on the low end, and even here on the low end, which you can see here, I will try to, let's see if I can get you a better view. I'm even showing pressure signs. So, come on, camera. Where are you at, camera? I don't know if you're even able to see that at all. But you can see it
move it up in the frame a little bit.
Is it pushing out?
Flattening them out.
Well, that's not uncommon to have them flatten out a little bit.
Yeah,
on the low end of your ladder.
Well, I guess it depends on the powder.
Did you pull a bullet and double check your powder?
Yes, I have done that, but I haven't sprung for a second scale yet, which I need to do so that I can just make sure that my first scale is not completely out of fucking whack. Yeah. But yeah, I see it. I see it all the way up my ladder, and then the weird thing is, I also see other spots throughout my ladder where things look actually halfway decent in the way they should, but for the most part, everything is showing the flattened out primer, which just kind of, which just it gives me pause. You know what I mean?
I had an issue, not an issue. I have more of an issue with flattened out primers in my Federal brass for my 8mm than my Privy. It might have something to do with the primer pocket size and the primers that you're using too. Maybe your primers. How are your primers going in? Nice and snug, or are they going in? Does it seem hard or does it seem loose?
When the way I remember these is, I think I reamed them a little bit because they look to me like they were this, and this is Federal.
Yeah.
But even with it being Federal, it looked like it was crimped. And
well, Federal could be, I guess. What caliber is that?
That's 223.
What grain? What grain is that?
62 grain Hornady, full metal jacket, bow tail projectiles.
That's actually what I got sitting that I'm going to be reloading. That's exactly what I'm reloading with, or I will be.
Yeah, I'm actually getting ready to send a package to Dead Horse with 25 of those and 25 just regular ones that I picked up at last year's Trigger Con that are extreme 55 grains. Well, I started out at 23 grains, and then I worked it up in 0.5 grain increments, and even at that 23 grain, it was just like, this ain't looking too promising.
Where did your data come from?
Data came from Ramshot. It came from a couple different sources, plus talking with Foos, because that's a powder that he swears by.
I know there's like H110 Magnum pistol powder that you can't reduce because it will kind of do some weird pressure spikes. But whose primers are you using?
These were either Winchester or CCI.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm not a
They-
Winchester. I'm not a Winchester fan on the primers.
They're,
Yeah, I use CCI for everything.
the Winchesters are kind of soft, right?
Federal, I know can be. They've got a little thinner. The back cup on the primer that you hit with or get struck with the firing pin is usually a little softer. And I know
Remington.
CCI. What are they? They're not 350. They're standard large rifle primer, but they're a different. They're NATO overruns and that have a little heavier cup because I use those.
That's the white box. The white box.
Yeah.
33, 35.
I got all these drawers open. I probably could look at my primers.
Hottie, when I'm looking in my Lyman book, and I don't have a 62 grain, they have a 63 grain, so it's going to be very, very close. They don't even have that listed as a powder.
And your Lyman book is the same as mine. It's 49th edition, correct?
Yeah. Did you get it off the Ramshot website, the manufacturer's website? Because there is free information available online from some of the powder manufacturers.
Yes, absolutely.
Now was like let me get my thought here right while I'm trying to look through a book here. I know like Alliant, they'll post data, but they'll post the maximum loads and say, oh, by the way, reduced by 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
But you're saying, so I'm trying to think, did they give you like a range of 25 grains to 35 grains or something like that? Or
Oh yeah. There was most definitely a range, and I started at the bottom of it, and then I don't even think that what I have in this case works its way all the way up to the top of it.
What did you shoot those in?
You said a 60 grain tack or 60 grain full metal jacket with
a Hornady 62 grain full metal jacket.
Let me check 223. Yeah, because my 223 only goes up to a 60 grain, but it's 2 grains, which in a bullet shouldn't. That's within standard deviation for.
Yeah, that's what I said. 63 versus 62 isn't going to make. I mean,
yeah, and the 223 service
less powder or something. It's
gives you like a 68 to a 75. But Hadi, are you on a phone or on the computer?
I'm on the phone right now.
Okay, so you can't see the side chat.
No, I can't, unfortunately.
Yeah, because they've got tack listed for the 60 grain bullets. Yeah.
What rifle are we talking about, Hottie?
This would have been my Wyndham just Air 15, 16-inch barrel.
What length gas system?
Carbine. 1-9 twist is what's coming to mind right now. It's all good. I don't have to. I don't mean to completely slow up the show with my little problem that I have going on here. So
no, that's cool.
You can't dangle a mystery in front of us and expect us not to do something.
Let me answer one question out in the chat though. Patriot's asking real quick, and this is a pretty easy one to answer. What types of methods are there to measure your powder? There's a couple different ways. Mine, the one that I have that I showed, is an electronic, scale. It's a little more high-techy. Then there's a thrower, which is what they're talking about, where basically you've got a hopper with powder, and underneath it is a little lever.
Actually, if you lock on my screen, I got mine.
Here we go. Yeah.
I'll pull mine down.
And
here.
whenever you pull the lever, a measured amount of powder falls out.
Or
you go to a small scale.
I'm I'm sorry, or you trickle.
Right. Well, I trickle charge out of mine too. And it's just an electronic one. But yeah, so when he pulls that lever, it's going to pop out a specified amount of powder.
Yeah,
and
basically,
pretty close.
Okay, you see this black disc here. It's basically a hole drilled through, and this is a threaded, basically, meter. The more you throw.
Hold on a second, real quick. Okay, so yeah, when we're talking about this, we got to describe it because we're talking to a guy who can't see the screen.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, man.
Okay, yeah, I just thought of that.
Yeah, we're trying to be accommodating.
Yeah,
okay,
I would say
basically you got a hopper. It's pretty much like a, I don't know, half-liter pop bottle turned on its upside down. Put powder in the top, it funnels down, and then it goes into kind of a
drum.
A chute?
Yeah.
A drum or a measuring cup sort of thing.
Yeah, and in that, it's basically, think of it kind of like a valve on a water main or on a water pipe, except...
Is it graduated so that when you release it, you know exactly what's in there? Basically, for me, I'm wanting to do 38 special. And so for whatever the measurement is it best to use those little scoops, a thrower?
For you, honestly, a scoop, I was going to say scoop next, was for you, a scoop would be the best because you can literally scoop it out, feel it, and
level it off.
Now, your daughter... I don't know how much she's would be into it, but
she likes blowing stuff up.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe not get her then. Maybe find somebody else.
Yeah, the thing with this thrower, for those who can see, and I'm not slamming it for that. It does have a little vernier scale on here, but that doesn't really coincide with anything. Like the same volume. Like I could have a Trail Boss. It's basically a black powder, not substitute. It's a very bulky powder that's made to take up a lot of space in, like, say, a 4570 or a 45 Colt. So if I need 10 grains of that, for the volume that would take, I could get probably 50 or 60 grains of a very fine ball powder.
Okay,
so
with the scoops and stuff like that, though, the difference between a full scoop, I mean, is there much variance where it would push you over a max?
There's many different, there's like 12 or 14 or something different scoops in it. I have them. Honestly, I just about grabbed them to show you them.
Okay. They look great.
I turned and grabbed them. I was like, oh, right here.
Happy yellow.
But yeah, so
I like the pink ones there, right?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, Patriot's sense of feel and his probably sense of weight. I'm just throwing out a guess.
Weight would be. I can't imagine going by weight. But what I would say is, no matter
feel though.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the thing. Yeah, and something that's like a 38 special is going to be a very forgiving round too. So a quarter of a grain isn't going to be a big deal. So I would do scoops for sure.
Yeah.
Get yourself get yourself a scale to check it, and then just have your daughter do it with you or something, and figure out which scale is going to be perfect.
Which scoop?
Yeah.
Which scoop? I'm sorry. Which scoop is going to be perfect? And then that's all you need to know is that scoop number 6 or whatever it is the one to go with. And even if you are off 0.1, it ain't going to make a difference for going to the range and planking. Yeah, it's never going to be enough to put you over maximum, and it's never going to be enough to make it weak enough that you're going to be off target or anything. And
I'd find a scoop that's kind of like middle of the road for 38 special. And that way, if it's a little light or a little heavy, it shouldn't make much of a difference.
Yeah, what I was actually looking for is I've read about the like whisper loads. They're I don't know if it's cowboy action, whatever, where it's quieter, because I'm looking to be able to shoot without always having the max hearing protection and that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's out of a revolver and stuff, you know. I mean, it's of course it's still going to be loud. I understand that, but you know, where it's not blowing my ear out if you know. So, okay.
You just got to do one thing for me. If you get into reloading, you need to do a hidden camera video, and you need to reload some rounds, and then go to your gun shop and ask them if they want to buy them. I want to see the look on his face when a blind dude comes in and says, "Hey, I reloaded these myself. Can you want to buy them?"
Yeah, that's probably. I don't think they legally could anyway, but
probably not.
Yeah.
I share them at the range. That's. Try
I know
these out.
what.
These are good.
As far as scoops go, and Trail Boss, I'm showing the rest of the chat. I know there's guys IMR used to have on their website, and whether they put it down or my browser just doesn't like PDFs anymore, they used to have instructions for making loading up cartridges that weren't listed with Trail Boss. And basically what it is, you figure out where the bullet, how far deep the bullet sits in the case.
Okay.
And the powder that fills that space minus like 5% of weight, that's your starting load. So I know there are guys who will find that and then take like a 44 or something, and they'll just lop off and basically lop some of the case off and make their own custom size scoops for.
Yes, I've seen that. People even tack weld like a little handle to it. Philo out there has, and this is something he says. There's also electronic automated trickle dispensers that beep when the load is ready. That's what I have. The problem is,
you still have to enter in the data.
Well, you have to enter. Entering in the data is just a matter of going through a system, like going systematically through it. But Patriot wouldn't be able to see the digital readout to make sure that it's actually correct. So, like, if it starts to trickle and it stops and it beeps, that powder is so close to the edge of that dispenser. If you would bump the table a little bit or bump the scale and a little bit more comes out, it would be off and he wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So that's not a.
I mean,
that's a good way.
Still.
Yeah, that's the simplest way to go.
But Patriot already, I think, relies so much on his hands and sense of feel and sense of weight and sense of knowing where different things are that. I mean, I'm only assuming here, but I don't know. I think that he could probably get it done with scoops, as long as.
I think so too. Yeah. I think the scoops is the simplest and easiest way to do it because there's almost no. The error is all in. The only error you have is in him scooping it and pouring it. Versus if it's a thrower, once it's thrown, if it's off for some reason, you're not going to really know because it's already going to be in the case.
Right, and
I think that's the way to go. And if you buy Lee dies, they come with a damn scoop.
Yeah, and the Lees even have their flare die that bells out the mouth. It's drilled through the center. Let me grab this here for all of our sighted viewers. I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Where'd the hell my pointer go now? Okay.
Yeah.
It basically just makes me laugh with the sighted guys. So they get so
let me find. There we go. This is the flare die. You can see right here. It's hollow through. Lee, for their kind of bundling together of everything, basically you deprime it, you put a new prime ring, you go to flare it, and while the projectile's still up in the flare die, you can take your powder scoop and just tap it in there, give that a tap. Then it's already in. You don't have to pour it in, move the funnel to the next one, pour it in, move the funnel to the next one. So.
Yeah, that's especially if you can find if what your load is, which you can make. I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to do this. There's a lot of different scoops. You just make the scoop so that perfectly flat with the rim is, a full scoop. Full is what you're looking for. And even if it's off a little bit here or there, as far as what your load should be, it's not going to be enough that it's a plinking round is going to be horrible or whatever. And that's just what your load is. But at the same time, because that's your load is accurate every time, you'll know where your point of aim should be too. So even if it is like a little bit lighter and it's hitting a quarter of an inch lower than it normally would, you know that it's going to do that, so you can adjust for it in your shooting. Or, like most people do, and they try and recreate the point of impact, point of aim from a defensive load. And, just hopefully, that would be nice and easy for you to do. I don't know. It's cool. It's interesting to talk about, for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, once I get all the stuff and I started, we'll do a Hangouts, and I'll hook up my camera for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you it's like I said, it's cool if you know somebody that does it. It's super cool to sort of piggyback on them a little bit and go a couple of days and load with them. That's always really fun. All right. Anybody else have any questions out there?
I think Outhouse just jumped in.
I see that. I seen it. How you doing, Ellis? What's going on? Yeah, Snowy's here too. Snowy popped in.
Snowy North Gunslinger in here as well.
That's right.
Yeah, how you guys doing tonight?
Yeah,
I'm
good.
here.
No, well, there you go.
Good.
You sound so excited, Outlaw. Are you afraid it's going to be last Sunday part 2?
He's waiting for the top 5.
After the day I had today, last week would have been a dream come true.
Hey, Ellis,
did you get a strike for that yet?
Strike for what?
For all the shit we were giving Outlaw last week?
No, I didn't get no strike as far as I know. Unless they slipped one in there and didn't give me a message about it. Yeah, Jorge says, what's the best food to eat while reloading? Nothing. Don't do anything. Don't do anything while you're reloading.
Smoke.
Just reload.
Yeah,
just
smoke.
reload.
Oh, come on. Chain smoking is just fine when reloading. Give me a break.
I don't know. Maybe you can hook up some kind of a system with a tube where your cigarette's like sitting outside and you just kind of suck on the hose to get it.
I am only joking. No, I'm only joking.
So was I.
No, I know you are too, but yeah, I've heard people say that they don't even want to have a TV on or a gun channels chat on or anything like that, let alone be in a gun channels chat while they're actually reloading because they want to. Yeah. Because they want to be putting 100% of their attention onto exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it depends on what. For me, like I said, having a single stage, it depends on what process I'm doing. If I'm just depriming or something, but for the part, for actually maybe throwing, doing the charge or whatever, yeah, maybe not. Maybe nice and quiet's better,
Which, with the wife and kid, do you ever get nice and quiet?
No, I don't.
It's a relative thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a question that had to be asked. I don't know.
Oh, he says he was just trying to shift to a food chat. Well, it didn't work, huh? He got it busted. It's the only time it's never worked in the history of. It's the only time that it's never worked in the past year that I've been on.
Who was trying to shift it to? What was he talking about?
He said he was trying to shift it to a food chat. Shall not be infringed. Yeah.
Infringed.
Shall not have singed eyebrows.
Shall not be infringed. We talked about that last Sunday. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, that's part 2.
Yeah.
Patriot sent me an email and he's like, "I'm going nuts here, man. What else shouldn't I put in my refrigerators? This is freaking me."
It's like 3 things on that list I had to pull out. I got everything sitting on the counter for the last week till you tell me what I can put back in there.
Any small animal that isn't already dead, your children, your ex-wife.
Don't put your kid in there.
Yeah.
No, the ex-wife, you take it to a pig farmer.
Oh, boy. Hannibal Lecter style. No, there's, I don't know, it's funny there. I mean, I don't know, there's not a whole lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like if you, and that's what I did when you sent me the email. I was like, let me Google it a couple times, see what comes up. There's a lot of them that I really wouldn't even worry about. I mean, it depends on how fast you go through stuff, onions and garlic and stuff like that. We keep that all in the refrigerator at work.
And the reason for that is because it keeps a tiny bit, it keeps a little bit longer, right?
Yeah, it's for, I like onions. If you keep the onions in the fridge, they don't make you cry so bad too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've also found out if you core them onions, if you, I don't know, this is a better video for you, but if you take a knife and you do like a little octagon and slice inward, and then you take out the core of that,
and
that's what actually makes you, that's what actually bothers your eyes and bothers your tear ducts and all that stuff. And if you get rid of that, I know every time I do it, I feel like, God, I'm wasting like an eighth of this onion, but at the same time, it's like, all right, well, I'm not fucking crying. My eyes aren't burning, and I'm able to do this without.
Well, you know what you could do? You could manly it up a bit and just go get yourself a appropriate-sized hole saw and just hook it into an electric drill. All done.
How's a hole saw gonna?
You said you were coring it, right? You're taking out the center of the onion.
Hey, a little sawzall action.
Right? I get no. I guess you're right.
Well, first I was going to say, they make those like apple slicers or things that you use that you just pound on an apple and it takes out the core, or the ones that'll like cut it into 9 segments, including the core.
Yeah, but then you have 8 or 9 segments that you have to deal with instead of just one that
I'll tell you what, too.
You cut that thing in half, and then you only have 2 that you actually have to work with. I don't know.
So
I don't think
how about
I've ever
top
had,
5?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that next. I don't think I've ever found a tool to do that kind of stuff that was ever worth a shit either. Pineapple cores, apple, apple. They're either too big, too small. When you use those on a pineapple, you have a lot of waste. You probably lose 10% of the pineapple more than if you do it by hand. So they suck. I don't buy that shit.
Blasphemy, right? I mean,
learn to use a goddamn knife.
No, it's wrong.
The only tool that I've ever found that works really well for anything that was kind of out there is when I was working at the barbecue place for pulling pork and shredding pork. We actually had a piece that went into the drill, and you would just take an electric drill, and it shredded it for you. And it took, instead of hand shredding it, taking an hour or two.
I will say
it was probably just a paint stirrer that
Actually, it was probably a lawn aerator. One of those things that's kind of like a piece.
Yep. Exactly. The painters plug into a drill and they mix up their 5-gallon bucket of paint.
That's how we do barbecue sauce.
Well, we were making like 600 pounds of pulled pork every morning. So imagine having to sit there and pull that every morning by hand.
Have you ever seen the claws, the barbecue claws, where they're like, you hold on to them, they're like brass knuckles, but they have like tines on them, like bear claws.
Yeah,
they're super cool. They're pretty neat.
You're talking some Wolverine shit right now, are you not?
Hell yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, all right. So, shoot, I gotta go. Let me grab a piece of paper here.
Oh, that must mean there's like a
top 5.
It must mean there's a thingy coming.
Yeah. Well, it's not a bracket. We're not doing a bracket. We're just going to do a top 5. And I brought this one up. I told on Matt's chat, I was texting in the chat that this would be a fun one for him to do, and he never saw it or saw it and didn't want to do it, one or the other. And I thought, oh, hell, we'll just do it here. And it's the top 5 Gun Channels members that you would want to be with you during a zombie apocalypse.
You know, normally I'd say Patriot in the Dark because we normally want somebody that we can use as a distraction, and who better than the blonde guy, but I figured that would be a little over the top.
So I will we'll keep I'll keep track of them here. So we'll just go down the line. Toddy, you didn't know what it was, so I'll do you last. So if you want to have a couple of minutes to think about something, if you want to do this. Clover Tack. Top 5. You can just do one. I guess we can just do one at a time, huh?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do all 5? One at a time?
Let's do one at a time.
Okay. We'll do one at a time, and then just like a quick little reason why. Because I'm sure there's got to be a reason why, right? Clover Tack.
I don't know. This is a hard one. Why you got to come up with a hard one?
It is kind of hard, but it's kind of fun.
This really is a tough one, but it makes you bring people's personalities into it, and what you think they're capable of, and all that. No, I actually dig this one.
Do they have? They don't have to be in order, right?
No, it doesn't matter. We're just I'll just tally them up and we'll see who the top 5 are.
Yeah, go G-Webs, because if you can like travel around and live in a van, then you probably got pretty good ideas on how to get things done. So
yeah. Ape. Nobody. By the way, nobody. I don't think on Gun Channels owns a banana farm. Just so if that was a factor for you, I don't think anybody does.
Oh wait, I've got this wonderful camera on. You can actually see this now.
That's not nice at all.
Hold on. I'm sorry. That's not nice. There, I'm doing it as hard as I can.
There's women and children out here. Jeez, it's horrible.
Let's see. I can really piss people off, or I can use. You know what? I'm going to say Night Strike, because I think he would be excellent for cover fire. All you have to do is say, "Hey, see this target on my back? Shoot at it."
All right, Ghost.
I'm going to go Mohawk Boy because we need a 4-man fire team and a cook to feed us. So I'm going to go with you.
That's not a bad way to go. It's smart. Good thinking. Gizzard.
Well, I had a lot of different things go through my head there, but let's just throw one out. I want Ghost on my team because I want somebody with military experience.
Right. Patriot.
I went about it different. Anybody in the chat or on the panel, they're not on the list because I figure they're all going to be alive because they're making their own little groups. So I started out with Mr. Knives. He's got the endurance. He does 16-hour chat, so he can stand up and watch for 16 hours straight. So that's who I'm starting.
Stand up and watch for 16 hours straight.
Yeah, but dude, he sleeps for
blind?
he sleeps for 16.
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay.
I was gonna say I have hopped into his chats and been like, Knives.
Wake up.
Knives.
Knives. Well, then it could be fodder. You know, that's okay.
Yeah. Snowy.
I'm actually going to go with Clover because I want someone with military experience in there, and I want someone who can actually cook food worth a damn. And he's got a lot more experience with bows and everything else, so it's not just
I don't
the
got
firearms.
no military experience.
I'm gonna say, so why are you picking Clover?
Yeah.
Military and he can cook.
I can campfire cook.
We have seen the guy cook ribs on a barbecue.
Yeah,
I can outdoor cook.
Damn good looking ribs, man.
When it comes to the military, I can't speak on that. I mean, he might have served.
Who is that? Squibby.
Dusty.
All right. How come?
Because that's where I'm going if the SHTF happens. His farm. We've already got a plan.
Can't go wrong with that. Ellis.
Yeah, what are we doing here again?
They want top 5 people from gun channels that you would want on your zombie apocalypse team. Who do you want on your team?
From gun channels.
Yeah.
Man, that's hard. Fuck you for this. I'm taking Ghost.
All right. Ghost got 2. That's the first. All right. Too hotty.
I'm not saying that there isn't a couple names that have been mentioned that won't come up later in my list, but since we're not going in any order, I say Matt. Never enough ammo.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Man, we got a lot of different.
He'll just tell the zombies to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, while they're chewing on his face. It didn't stop him.
I eat pussy, motherfucker! Oh shit, you're eating my balls!
Yeah, could he drive that tongue ring straight through it into their brain and kill them? Maybe he could lick them to death.
Yeah, this one's a little south of Rotted Fish.
I lick zombies, motherfucker.
That's a whole different direction that I didn't think about.
Well, you know, that's how he can build up immunity to the zombie virus.
That's true. All right, my turn. I'm gonna go with I'm picking Clover as one of mine too, because Clover's got an awesome knowledge of reloading and stuff like that. I think that would come in handy. Then we'll go back the other way. We can start back. Clover, you're up next.
Hey, you can go the other way if you want. I mean,
it doesn't matter. Nah, it doesn't matter. We'll just go around the world. Right. Clover.
All right.
See, I didn't realize before we were talking zombie apocalypse. I don't know why.
It could make a difference.
Really throws a kink in things. Got people that talk too much, they're going to die for sure. So
there you go.
That rules out about 90% of everybody on gun channels.
So what you're saying is you're not going to pick armament and axis?
Oh, holy.
Jan.
No double A.
Dude, he could bore him to death, that's for sure.
Or Night Strike, or any other who are yet to be named.
Let's go Ghost. I like the military experience thing. Let's go with Ghost.
Okay. Ape.
I'm going to go... let's see here. I'm going to go Heavy B. Because if you're going to bring along a Marine, bring along a big Marine.
I concur.
Gotta take a lot of crayons to feed that Marine.
Oh man! At least, I mean, he could have. It could have been worse. He could have been like, because if you're gonna bring a Marine, bring a dumb one or something. Ghost, you're up.
I got somebody else for my meat shield.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with HVS. He's a knife guy, and if we run out of ammo, he'll have plenty of knives around. So I'm gonna go with HVS. And he could buy some stuff with his alternative currency too.
That's true. Yeah, because general relativity says who's the slowest. You don't have to be the fastest, just not the slowest. It's kind of like a shark attack, right? You don't have to be faster than the shark, just the other dude you're swimming with. Gizzard.
I want to go with Gunpowder Beauty because we run out of ammo. She can throat punch some people.
Oh. I can see that happening. Patriot.
I'm going to go with Tony because the madder he gets, the more I laugh. So I think Tony and the reloading and
Tony would be a good one. Although I don't know. Tony's fight or flight response might just be to fight all the time. He seems like an angry little dude, so you might lose him quick when everybody else bolts and he stands there and tries to fight them all off with a 44.
We need a sacrificial lamb.
There you go. Snowy.
Careful now. I might not like that idea.
I'm going with Ghost.
Okay.
Gotta have a Marine.
Guy's gonna get a swelled up head and thinking he's awesome and stuff. Watch out. Squib.
Oh, they passed that point. You know me.
Squibby. Squidward.
My answer's going to be the same as Ghost, HVS.
All right. Oh, okay. Ellis.
Hush. Gotta have communications. Hush.
That's a good one.
That is actually a very smart idea from
That's
the
a
redneck.
good one. Yeah, didn't think of that one.
From the hipster. No,
Hottie.
that's awesome. Gee, just because of his knowledge on every firearm on this earth.
Yep.
And all that stuff.
I got let me see here. I have Mr. Fine Ape as one of mine.
We're doomed.
Because you may need somebody to talk you out of trouble. That's your guy.
Fine Ape has never talked me out of any trouble in my life. He's only talked me into it.
Well, maybe that's his plan.
Well, you planned on sending me out solo so I get talk other people in trouble? Oh no, there's no zombies over by that hamburger. No, that's a perfectly safe hamburger. Why haven't I eaten it? I'm vegan. Leave me alone.
Gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Clover, what's up? What's your next one? Number 3.
Well, Zeke's they don't do real well in cold, so we need probably a cold place for a hangout. So I'm gonna say probably Bob.
Cricket.
You think you can rely on Bob, huh?
Well, we just need this place to hang out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. You just commandeer. You could just duct tape him to the ceiling of his RV and you could just use his RV.
Right.
No. All you have to say is, Bob, I'm here from the government. We're taking your house. Okay.
You see that kind of thing out there, huh?
Okie dokie, make yourself
like,
a home.
Again? Oh, no, not again.
Don't worry. Here's a 2-4 of Labatt. Oh, my turn again?
Yeah.
Shit. I'm getting, more I think about it, I'm getting better ideas, so I think I'm going to get rid of my meat shield, and I am going to go with Dead Horse.
Okay.
Just for his knowledge on ARs and 1911s. So if we need to reprocure something, he can say, "Oh yeah, that with that solid gun," or no, that's just bad.
No. Ghost.
I'm going to go G-Webs for 3 reasons. 1, he has the radio license. 2, with all of his travels, he knows where all the good hiding places are with the van. But 3, he won't eat our food because he's vegan.
There you go.
God damn, those are 3 good reasons. Son of a bitch. Gizzard.
That third reason was the golden one, I have to say.
I bet you in the zombie apocalypse, he'd start eating bacon real goddamn quick, though.
Are we talking bacon or creepy bacon?
The hell's creepy bacon?
Bacon made from the other white meat. Or undead bacon.
If anybody's going to just say fuck it and start eating people, it would probably be G. Maybe you shouldn't have him on your team. Maybe he'd be looking at you like a snack. Gizzard, what's up?
I'm gonna go with Patriot in the dark because it's liable to be dark out there, and he could probably shoot better than me. Because it's a zombie apocalypse, there's probably no power, no nothing. And he can reload too.
You just never know what you're gonna get. Reloading with Patriots like a box of chocolate. Patriots reloading's like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get.
Hey, that's a big one, man. Sorry.
Patriot, you're next. What's up?
Just watch that package I'm going to mail you. You're getting my first batch. I say since it's a zombie apocalypse, I'd probably go with angry because after the collapse of civilization, you need somebody to remember all that trivia.
He's like a human encyclopedia.
Yeah, he'll remember all that stuff.
When you rebuild, you got somebody to tell you what happened in the past. Okay, I can see that. Snowy.
I'm gonna go with Yankee because you need somebody to be a distraction, and Yankee would sit there and tell the zombies to fuck off for 10 hours at a time and go on an epic rant. So he'd be a perfect distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would probably be pro zombie for some reason.
No,
he would.
All you have to
I
know is
I think he'd betray you.
them zombies over there, they just ate a puppy. And watch out, he'll drop his liberal, what is it, Washington
You mean
or
he'd actually
Oregon?
shoot one of his guns?
No, he shot him before. No, I'm just thinking he'd be kind of like the Hulk. I mean, if you've ever seen an episode of Cops, anybody from a trailer park or Southern, the angrier they get, the stronger they get.
That truly is one man that I would not want to see mad, face to face.
Oh, I bet he's. Oh man, I bet
he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, he's pretty tall. He's like 6'1" or something. But he just seems like the dirtiest, nastiest, most rotten old man ever. If he was pissed off, dude,
So think of how dirty that nasty, dirty old man might fight. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't want to see that old man pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure the grudge he holds would. I mean, it would last the whole apocalypse. So you'd never be able to get away from him. It'd be horrible.
It'd be like John Wick and Liam Neeson rolled into one.
He just banned the zombies.
Yeah. Get out of my chat, zombie. You're gone. You're gone. Who's next? Snowy.
I just went. I said Yankee.
Oh, that was you. Squib.
The oily prepper.
Actually, another reason for Yankee is because doesn't he have a bunch of food and shit prepped?
Who's the oily prepper?
She's a Gun Channels member. She's probably only been in maybe one or two chats or been out in the audience a few times, but she used to run her own prepping show on Thursday nights, and I was on it.
Oh, she used to be on Hawaii Volcano Squad's chats.
Yeah, she's come on Lock and Load from time to time. She'll be back.
I did not know she was even a Gun Channels member. So, all right.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about
now. Ellis.
Well, it's time to pull the aces in the hole out. I'm going to go with Alan B. Pro.
What, do you need somebody to smoke?
No.
You really want Jen is gay.
Now, hold on. That is
that
is exactly why. Because he's got like 100 different personalities wrapped up in that little mind of his. So you never know what you're going to get in any given situation. So,
I mean, an outlaw may need somebody to replace a sheep eventually, so.
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Well, it all depends on whether the zombie virus is a
think about it.
Infection.
If you get bored of talking to the 5 guys you're already with,
talking,
then you
fake quotes.
All of a sudden, Jan is gay pops up, or one of those other multiple personalities, and then you have somebody completely new to talk to for a while.
You just kick him out of the RV and be like, "Hey, let's go find out if you can get an STD from a zombie." Go go.
It's okay, hipster. We understand that talk is just a code word for you. It's okay.
All right. Well, we'll let you have that. We'll let you have that one. Too Hottie. Go ahead.
Ghost. Because we do need a former military guy, somebody who may still have contacts within the military and may still be able to secure us certain things or be able to push up with certain elements, and everything that goes along with that. So Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say Squib, but Squib's a little farther. How do I say this? He's a little.
He's old as shit, dude.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, okay.
I am.
just messing with you, Squib.
I was just gonna say.
No, it's true.
Just gonna say he's a little farther moved. So that's why I go with Ghost over Squib.
So you're
Ghost
saying you
and-
want someone from something that's a Vietnam relic, not 1812.
No, I think I want. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess under that. Yeah.
I think I just broke too hotty.
You did. Because I don't. No, you did.
I think you just had a stroke, ladies and gentlemen.
I did. Because I don't think Ghost is from the fucking Vietnam era, but I mean, anyway. But all right, that's my number.
I'm taking my next one. G-Webs. 1, he cruises around in a van and doesn't hate it. 2, he knows tons of people, and he knows like a lot of like sneaky things. I bet you he knows a lot of stuff that he's not supposed to know because of the people he knows and runs into over the years. And 3, if he watches this and I don't pick him, I'm afraid he's going to yell at me. So I'm going to pick G-Webs. Clover.
So what number are we on?
This is the 5th.
Well,
4.
we learned anything.
No,
This is 4.
Four.
This has to be 4, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. 4. Yeah, my bad.
Got to remember, he's a chef, not a mathematician.
Mathematician.
So if we've learned anything from Walking Dead, is you've got to have a really large bore revolver, right? So that would be Russ Carr, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Or Ponnery.
True.
Ooh. Eight.
I'm going to go with G-Webs. So we all know G-Webs is Skynet.
There you go. Ghost?
I'm going to go with Clover. I'll give you my 3 reasons for Clover. 1, he reloads. 2, I have a decent idea of how many guns he actually really has. And 3, I can't be the shortest guy on my team, so I got to have one shorter than me.
Well, Ghost, you need to remember like 90% of those guns he have are Marlin Model 60s.
Well, I mean, they'll still work.
What more do you need?
That's true. Yeah, your whole you got a whole battalion of people outfitted with Model 60s. You're good to go. Giz.
I'm gonna take Ellis because, well, I need somebody who's got lots of different guns, and plus he could get us up in the hills where we could hide out and stuff like that. And then if we got hungry, he knows a lot of sheep too. So.
Gary, if you don't go anywhere in the hills with Ellis, I promise you that.
Gary, we all know you just want Ellis because you want someone that makes you feel better about your family.
And the door opens.
He will make
Patriots.
mad.
That's probably Ellis.
We're gonna have time for honorable mentions too, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with Jimmy James because you never know when you're gonna need a quesadilla or a ramen noodle burrito.
Yeah.
And you can do it on an open flame. You just flip it, burn it. Hey. And besides, he hasn't been around for a while, so I'm
throwing him some love, huh?
Yep.
Snowy.
I'm going to have to go with D on this one for pretty much all the same reasons everyone's already described.
Mm-hmm. Squid.
Rupan RX.
we've got like a 30-way tie for 5th place. Outlaw.
Military Arms Channel.
He's not a
He's
gun channel member.
Yes, he
not a
is.
Gun Channels member.
Yes,
Is he?
is. Yes.
Someone
Why the hell
needs to
doesn't he ever do
confirm
anything
that.
on gun channels?
Don't know, but he is a member over there.
That's bullshit, though. If he's a
Did
member, and he
Yankee
has,
piss him off too?
Are we sure about that?
Yeah, I've seen his
No,
name.
we're not. No, we're not.
Are you sure it's the actual military arms channel, Tim? Not someone who's like, oh, yeah, I want to be Hickok 45 on gun channels.
Well, I mean, it's easy to do. All you have to do is go look for the channel over there, right?
Gizzard, you're good. You're fast. Do it. Make it happen.
So Outlaw could possibly be putting an imposter on his team. Good move. Man.
He might.
Good move.
He might. I'm gonna have to throw him out. I don't know.
Okay, I'm under M, and I see no channels under M. I don't see him there.
Yeah, I just searched it as well, and there's nothing.
Well, it was there a few months ago because I've seen it.
Nope.
The Military Arms Channel, maybe. It's just I'm trying to give Ellis a little bit of a chance here.
Nothing.
Okay. Well, Ellis, you liar! God damn you!
I ain't lying.
He's misinformed. You got to remember, he's not well read.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you check? You went browse channels, right? Because if he's just a member and he doesn't have a channel, it doesn't show up. Because I'm under F, and I'm not on there, but I'm also not a gun channel. Well, Night Strike, maybe you need to jump in. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we got room, Night Strike. How about you defend your living cousin?
Night Strike has a link too.
Come on, Night Strike, you're already here. It's not that.
It's kind of shitty if he's a member and has never mentioned it. You know what I mean? It's a.
Never mind, we don't have it anymore.
Kind of crappy.
Yeah, now you're starting to
members.
realize the
Here we
matrix
go.
a little bit.
Now what?
You said it's kind of crappy that if he's a member and he never ever said anything about it or mentions it. I said,
He's in under his actual name, Tim Harmson.
There you go.
Number keywords, Tim.
Guess we'll let it slide.
Tim Mass, Tim Mirror, Tim Irving.
I don't know no Tim.
I don't know no team. Who is this team? Hottie, you're up next.
Oh shit, I am. This is number 4.
Yeah.
I go Clover because we all know he's got a pretty decent arsenal. He has suppressors. He can be Overwatch. He can do certain things that others of us cannot.
Leprechauns are immune to zombies, just so you know.
Well, that's even more the reason why I picked Clover. So yeah, he's my number 4.
Precious metals. He's got a pot of gold, probably too.
He's got a pot of ammo.
Got some pot.
Golden ammo.
But we'll have
a pot of something.
We'll find out in the zombie apocalypse what kind of pot I got, because we're gonna have one heck of a party.
Plus, there's one more reason that Clover guy and that Ghost guy, they work very well together. So
it's his work wife, isn't it?
So you don't want to split up the bromance? Is that the problem?
No, I just know that they work well together, and they're gonna
one's
if shit hits the fan, I do want those two on my side.
You just pick one and both will show up.
No,
that's work wife.
That's not part of the criteria here. God damn it.
Well, yeah, they work so well together. Clover's immune to zombies, and Ghost is intangible. No physical harm can come to him.
Man, I wish that was true.
I am up next. I'm gonna say Ellis, because eventually you're gonna need to sacrifice somebody.
Yeah,
Eventually,
you're right. Eventually, I'll have to sacrifice somebody, and it's like bear hunting. You don't have to outrun the bear; you just have to outrun the fat fucker you with. So I'm shooting you in the leg.
There you go.
Well,
you wouldn't have to shoot. Why would
Ellis,
you have to
you
shoot
wouldn't
him
even
in
have
the
to
leg?
shoot Ellis. You just need to shoot the sheep that's next to him.
Lamb
chop, no!
All you got to do is murder the sheep that he's handcuffed to, right? So, Clover, you're up next.
I'm gonna go with Ozzy, because what's the good in a bad to the bone, zombie slaughtering action scene without some metal in the background, right?
Well, yeah, I could dig that. Ape. No, you can't pick you can't pick the Chiquita banana lady.
Leave Carmen Miranda out of this.
Is that true? Is that really her name?
I have no idea. I just picked a name that sounded neat. While I agree with Clover that in a zombie killing scene you do need metal, I would not pick Ozzy. I would pick Sabaton, but I would pick Clover to be the last member on my team for all the mentions above.
I'm like the fat kid. I get picked last.
These are in no particular order.
Ghost.
I'm going to pick the fat kid because I can outrun him. 2, if you're in front of him, you don't have to worry about getting shot. And 3, there'd be a lot of meat to go around if we had to sacrifice somebody. So I'm going to go with 9 straight.
You already picked me. Oh.
Like I said, I'm surrounding myself with people I know I can outrun.
And if you would pick somebody that's faster, you could just like hop in their pocket like a little mouse, and it could.
That's right. But see, all I have to understand is if it comes down to having to be a cannibal, I've got you to fix the meat.
That's true. That's true. Then you just got to figure out what to do with me. That's kind of sad knowing that.
Go around.
Just don't ever write down your recipes or your processing. You'll be fine.
You don't get rid of your food source. That's a major thing.
There you go.
You're not eating. I ate his liver
out
with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Oh, no. You see, what you need to do is you get a little turpentine, a little bit of the dandelions. You just put it into a 55-gallon drum, and you just let it sit for a day or two, and it'll just fall apart in your mouth and clean you out real well as well.
Night Strikes out there says one is a marine, the other is a surly magical creature.
They're coming to Tuesday nights on a new sitcom.
That's true. One is a marine, the other is a surly magical creature. Gizzard, this fall on CNN.
Well, since I don't know how to cook sheep, and since he won't ever have to bitch about having a dishwasher since I have Ellis there, I'm going to pick MidnightRangeTM.
Uh-oh.
You can wash your own damn dishes.
Hey, Ellis,
he can fire you just like you did the rest of them.
I lost another dishwasher on Saturday.
You got to start installing those things better. Like, really nail them to the floor.
Fucking dude. He went home early Friday. He's like, my knees hurt.
Listen, have him come up there.
And he just bolted. He just took off. Never came back. Motherfucker.
My knees hurt. Oh, hold on. I'll get my hammer and hit you in the head for a sense of symmetry.
I would come and help you out Midnight, but you live too far away from any major water.
We're right next to the Susquehanna.
That's what I said. Major water.
What the fuck are you talking about? Major water?
Yeah, the Oklahoma. You know, the Mississippi, the Ohio River.
Because you're so close to Mississippi there in South Carolina, dude.
No, I got the Savannah River. And I got Santee Cooper Lakes here.
You had to have a Marine explain geography to you. Think about it, dude.
I'm telling you.
No, he didn't have to explain it to me. I'm just going through major river systems, lakes.
That you're not near.
I'm near the savannah. I can pretty much throw a damn rock and hit the
You
savannah.
said a major, like you said, a major
Yeah, you
water.
said major river.
I've never fucking heard of that damn river.
There's a small wooden bridge that goes over it. So
I got a guy just freak in the backyard. That's a major fucking water source, dude.
No,
Is it like
He's from the hills. Come on, you can't blame him.
Is it like Robin Hood Men in Tights? When Chappelle was doing when Men in Tights, he's like, "You're on the west side, you're on the east side, you're on the north."
Did she tell you no today or something, Outlaw?
It ain't exactly the Mississippi River.
It ain't exactly the Mississippi. It's the point. All right,
He's
whatever.
Bad boy.
Who the hell's up next? Patriot?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with G. He's a Boy Scout. Come on, Boy Scout. So
Snowy.
I'm gonna take Gizzard Gary because sometimes you need a tech guy.
There you go.
Plus, wherever Gizzard goes, George follows with.
This is true, and George will fuck you up.
Yeah, you just dress him up like Battle Cat from He-Man, you'd be all right. He could probably hold his own.
There you go.
Squib.
I'm going to pick Patrick. Everybody on my list is somebody that I've discussed the zombie apocalypse with. So that's why I picked who I picked.
Yeah. You know, this is a top 5, but there's so many people. We should have just given our top 5 and decided who has the best, who we think has the best 5. Maybe we can do that afterwards. I don't know, because this
we
is going to
still
be
got honorable mentions. So
yeah, that's true. Ellis.
Well, considering I've got Ghost, I can't let Ghost go without his best buddy there. I've got to have the tactical leprechaun.
You said Ghost, not Clover, right? You said you were picking Ghost?
No, I've already had Ghost. Now I'm getting close.
Oh,
the hell you have.
What
You
do you
have
say?
never had it. You never will have.
So what the
I
fuck
heard
is your
that.
answer,
Only
dude?
fucking Corey here. Dude.
What he's doing is he's throwing me a sympathy bone. He says he can't pick the high school quarterback without picking the nerd that does his homework. That's what he.
Oh, he's throwing you. He's trying to throw you a bone, all right.
Well, you got to understand. Who's saying
Wow,
it,
wow.
though. You got to understand who's saying it, though.
Too hot, you're up.
The Haas USMC.
Oh, Hosh.
No. Not Haas.
Not Haas.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Haas. Yeah.
Yep.
Haas. Yeah.
And me, I'm going Yankee also because that dude, he is a prepper even though he doesn't talk about it really. He's got a ton of guns and he got a lot of ammo because he doesn't shoot that much. And if you're on his good side, I guarantee he will take care of you. If he doesn't,
really lives in a really high elevation, which is good for him too.
Yeah.
Not prone to walk uphill much.
Yeah, we'll have a high ground for sure at his house.
Yankee would definitely be an honorable mention for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just don't piss him off, or he'll stab you in the kneecap as soon as he can.
Let's do honorable mentions.
While you try and figure out the list.
Well, no, I mean it's actually we've got so many ones. It's not hard to do.
1-1-1-1-1-1.
Clover, who's your honorable mention?
General relativity. Gotta have Einstein, right?
I can see that.
Well, it's all theoretical. I would go never enough ammo. Just because we've seen proof of of all his prepper stuff and that. However, I'm a little concerned that he'd be giving me dried powdered goat's milk.
Yeah. Ghost.
I'm going to go never enough ammo. He's got Lucille and he's got the what's his name? The black guy's stick. So yeah, he's gonna have that.
You got the black guy's stick, huh?
Are you an expert on said colored sticks?
Ellis is all about the colored sticks.
Hey, you're the one talking about
Morgan's bow staff. That's what it was. Morgan's bow staff.
You sure you wasn't in the Navy there, Ghost?
Navy, Marine. It's pretty close.
Yep.
Gizzard.
Well, he almost
Honorable
got
mention.
picked in my top 5, so I'm going to go ahead and pick him now. Snowy. We got to have Snowy because the man can hunt. The man is a professional fisherman. He's also a tactician, so he knows how to strategize and get rid of these zombies. So, got to have Snowy.
That's a good honorable mention. That probably should have been on the. Probably should have been picked before. Probably that pink shirt. That'll do you in.
You can cook the fish,
salmon.
It's slamming. It's slamming. Snowy, you're. Oh no, Patriot's up next.
All right, I got 3 quick ones. Rick from Rick's Life as I See It. He's a butcher, or was. So he's trained in that stuff. Night Strike, because you have to have entertainment. And in the zombie apocalypse, animals will get it too. You know, so you get rhinoceroses, all zombie squirrels, and farm animals. So you have to have Ellis.
Man. Snowy.
I'm done.
I would pay to see the zombie squirrels. That would be so cool.
Ellis Yankee had a video doing with attack squirrels or attack chipmunks or something one time. It was really funny.
I tell you what, I don't want to see is a zombie rhino. That would do something.
Hippopotamus, giraffe. Come on.
Oh no! You guys have got it all wrong. Zombie mice, zombie rats. They're small. They can get in anywhere.
Yeah. You put your shoe on one day and you got a mouse in there chewing on your toe. You're screwed. You're dead.
I want to see a zombie Bigfoot.
Well, if Yankee ever turns, you'll get your wish.
Big feet.
No, that would be if Bob returns.
That's debatable whether he has or hasn't returned.
You know what though? If
he
Bob,
feeds his
if Bob
calluses
ever
to his
turned,
dog. I mean, come on.
if Bob ever turned, it wouldn't be all that. He couldn't be sneaky at all. You'd hear him walking through the woods. You'd know he was coming from a mile away.
Or be that.
Bob sounds like Burgess Meredith as the penguin. Go ahead, Snowy.
I think I'm going to take Sarge.
All right.
Sarge is a good one.
Squib, honorable mention.
I got 3.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Connery, Jelsma Outdoors, and Edge.
Jelsma's a good one. I didn't even think about him.
Well, and they're all in Texas. I could just swing down there and, throw them in the back of the LMTV and get out of there, or come down there to stay with them because their weather's better.
Yeah, Connery. I think Connery's a good one because he's kind of a nerd, but he's got a lot of guns. He knows a lot of dumb stuff too. Ellis, honorable mention.
He thinks he knows.
Okay.
He thinks he knows a lot of stuff. I don't know.
I've got 4. Okay. I've got Night Strike. Gotta have Night Strike. Gotta have.
He's got to keep it in the family.
Gotta have G-Webs. And the most important honorable mission is George. Gotta have George.
You're looking for something to pacify Night Strike when he gets all bent out of shape.
Oh man, yeah, that's brutal, horrible. What was you said Night Strike and then who? It cut out.
Connery.
Sean?
Yeah.
G-Webs and George.
Well, that's...
Now...
Go ahead.
Well, George will take care of those, zombie mice.
I can see that. Night Strike says no.
Now, George ain't exactly a Gun Channels member.
Well,
Well,
we know who's in control over there, Gary. Gary, we know who's in control over there.
That's true. That's true. We can't take George. George is a YouTube member.
You have to
That's
dig down
two.
to get George.
That's 2 strikes against Ellie.
Hey, now I know which fake gun channels account I need to be so I can act like somebody else.
First of all, Mac is not a fake account. He is a member of Gun Channels.
Mac is, but Tim is.
He's in there as a Tim Harmson. Yeah.
Ooh, that's true. That might be a gray area.
So you're not actually getting Mac. You're getting Tim.
Same person, dude.
I don't know. Different. There are many differences when it comes to that.
Hottie, honorable mention.
I don't fucking know, dude. There's some of us have been putting out 1, some of us have been putting out 5. I mean,
put out as many as you want. I don't give a shit.
No, I'm gonna stick with the people who have stuck with the term that says honorable mention and not mentions, and
stick with the stickers. Stick with the sticky stickers.
And I'll say Yankee because, yeah, that crazy son of a bitch is always good to have on your side.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say Patriot because when the lights go out, he's gonna be worth a shit, and everybody else is gonna be fumbling around like an idiot.
Miles, I hate that. They're basically saying that during the daylight you're worthless. I'm just saying.
Hey,
zombie fodder during the day. That's right.
Well, he wouldn't be worthless. He would be consistent. Think about it.
Yeah,
I guess he's always in the dark.
Always dark.
That's
always dark out. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's true, I suppose.
You would always know what to expect from Patriot.
He's got built-in thermals, you know.
No, he's got built-in what is that? Echolocation.
Oh, you're like a dolphin.
I was thinking more like a bat.
That's a little different, but.
Please say we're going to start calling him Flipper.
There you go.
Flipper?
Flipper in the dark.
All right, so we do have one tied. Oh, yeah, okay. So G-Web's got 7. So G-Web's is number 1. Clover, number 2 with 6. Ghost, 5. And then we got a 4-way tie. Night Strike, me, Hawaii Volcano Squad, and Ellis.
Well, Midnight would be in my honorable mentions if we were doing mentions. So
I don't like any of those 4 choices, to be honest with you.
You don't have to like him. You just got to pick. You don't have to like him. You just got to pick the best one. So let's run it down because we'll just pick. I'll tell you what. Pick 2. So it's Night Strike, me, Hawaii Volcano Squad, and Ellis. We pick 2 of those, and that'll be our 4th and 5th. Clover.
You and Ellis.
I didn't see that coming. Ape.
Let's see now. I'd have to go HVS and you.
Okay. Ghost.
Well, since you're both on the panel, I'll go with you and Ellis.
Okay. Gizzard.
You up front and Ellis bringing up the rear.
I don't know that I like that at all.
Isn't that called a human centipede?
Can we put something or anything in between us?
I just heard Ellis get really excited.
Ellis did get super excited.
Thought I heard something.
I heard him say squeal like a pig, just saying.
Creeping me out, bro. You're creeping like me out.
So you're wanting something between you and Ellis that's a little heftier than a hefty bag?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll just get him one of his 556 stickers.
Oh, yeah. Patriot. Who you picking?
Okay, does Night Strike have a shotgun?
I mean, everything he shoots into a shotgun.
I don't think it matters what he has. He's gonna pattern like he has a shotgun.
Damn near everybody has a shotgun, right? That's like that's a need to. You definitely. I mean, I would imagine he's a shotgun.
And he is experienced with stitches.
He's experienced with getting them, not fixing them up.
Oh
even
my
if
bad.
even if he has a 1911 at 5 to 7 yards, he's still shooting a shotgun. So
hey, it's all right. I'm
got
gonna go with Night Strike just because everybody razzes him, but I'll go with them and Travis there.
I think Night Strike's not a bad pick. Good with computers. He does have a fair amount of guns. He's like me though. He's kind of broke, so he probably doesn't have a ton of ammo. That would be a downside.
But you run him.
I couldn't, but you guys could.
You could.
I'm a goner. I'll be back at camp cooking muffins and shit though, so you guys can outrun whoever the hell you want out there.
You have to do outrun. Well, there's two things you can tell Night Strike to outrun him. One, Palmetto State Armory has a sale. It's that way.
There you go.
I thought it was cheaper
than Dirt's having a sale. They're that way.
Night Strike has bayonets. Yeah, he has bayonets. That's a good one. I have one bayonet. So I mean, that's a definite zombie. That's a definite improvement for zombies. Like I'm not a huge fan of 5.56, but I mean I don't have a bayonet on anything
don't
else.
discount yourself. You are huge. You just don't discount yourself.
Hey,
that's more than I needed to know.
Hey yo, oh hey, like I'm Tony Danza. Who we up to? Snowy.
I'm gonna go with you, and seeing how's with my other tech guy is kind of a little bit on the ancient Egyptian age period. We're gonna go with Night Strike.
Nothing wrong with that.
Damn, he just called Clover Tech ancient and Egyptian style.
Well, leprechauns are immortal.
That's true.
Hey, I'm actually glad you brought that point up because that clears up my second choice. So, thank you.
Squib.
HVS and Night Strike for the sheer entertainment value alone.
Those two together is dangerous. I'm telling you.
The rest of the team, we could just sit back and watch those two go at it.
Dude, he's just going to go running off into the woods on the first day with a ham sandwich in his hand, screaming, this is the end, this is the end. And you're not going to.
Why are you talking about Night Strike like that?
I'm not talking about Night Strike. I'm talking about HBS.
Night Strike, it would be one piece of pizza, not a ham sandwich.
Hey, guys, I'm going to hop out. Have a good night.
Good night.
See you, man.
See you, Snowy.
Ellis. Night Strike, me, HVS, or you. I guess you can't pick you, huh?
Why can't I pick you? I'm great.
Because you're already on the team, you fucker.
He should be able.
You can't clone yourself.
He should be able to pick himself. I don't know.
Once again, Ghost, you got to point something out to him.
Okay. Oh, hey. Okay. I'm going to go with Night Strike and Midnight.
Okay.
Striking at midnight.
And Hottie?
You sure you ain't stroking at midnight?
Take what I can get.
Who do I go with?
No, I meant Night Strike stroking at midnight.
I go with Midnight Range because that way we have a cook. And then, even though I'm not sure about this hipster guy, I'll take him. Yeah, I'll take him. So, Midnight Range TM and the hipster outlaw. Hipster Hatfield outlaw or whatever we
I don't know enough about HVS he was in the military, right?
No.
Negative. No.
Negative.
I might be getting him confused with somebody else.
He does a prepping show every week, so I mean, you know, he's got that going for him.
He carries a karambit everywhere he goes.
Can't go wrong with that. Okay, so I'm definitely picking him. Oh man,
there you go.
And Night Strike and Ellis are tied at 4.
Sudden death.
Oh shit! Fuck me.
Don't say that. Ellis will do it. Ellis will do it.
I guess that's Ellis. Huh?
Ellis, I think he just called your name, my friend.
Let's see. Night Strike. I'll tell you what. That bayonet thing. That's nice. Nice. Ellis is got a decent amount of guns. I don't know what kind of firepower Ellis or Night Strike has. Somebody taking a leak?
You do know how Night Strike shoots said firepower.
Ellis can actually hit shit.
But that's the thing. I'm using Ellis for zombie fodder, for bait.
So
zombie baiter.
So it's either Ellis or Night Strike that are just bait. I don't know who's going to put up the biggest fight and going to live the longest and gain the most zombie attention. Is it Night Strike or? It might just be the hipster. He might sit there puffing on his fucking vape and
that's the important thing you have to ask, Scotty. Does vaping attract zombies?
See, Night Strike gets all worked up when he does. He's really, really loud, so he's going to draw them from miles and miles away.
Night Strike also
a lot thinner skinned.
He has a good knowledge on firearms, though, as far as gunsmithing and stuff. That's good.
Tech versus dishwasher.
You go ahead and think what you want to think, but we all have our own opinions on that. But all right,
man, this is bullshit. That's what this is.
And I truly mean no disrespect by any.
Who the hell? Who the hell did this goddamn list anyway? This is stupid.
I don't
know. All you, man. This is all you, man.
I'm gonna pick Night Strike. And Ellis will probably tag along, so we'll get them both.
You truly have to have an internet guy there in the end of the world when power's out and there's no energy.
Holy shit! I screwed up. Yankee had 2 votes too. So does that bump Night Strike out and give Yankee the votes?
If you fucked up and you just figured out you fucked up, then I would say so.
At this point, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So
this is kind of true.
There we go. G-Webs, Clover, Ghost, me, and Ellis. No, Night Strike.
That's 4.
That's it.
That's 4.
And Hawaii Volcano Squad. Emperors. So that's total bullshit. Who cares anything about that? That was fun though.
Wow.
That's the dream team.
I welcome anybody that survives and can never make it to a meetup point. I'd be happy.
Yeah, for real.
Shit.
Well, Night Strike and Ellis are close. That's the crazy part about it, though. I mean, if something really would happen, how far do you think you could make it to somebody that you know like that? You know what I mean? Like, what are the chances? Like, almost nothing.
Well, I'm only an hour and a half from Foos. I know I could make it to him.
If you're talking only Gun Channels members, then it's tougher. But if you're talking friends in the area that then we could use to then gather friends and then
but you're talking about
meet up with Gun Channels members, then it's a different thing. So,
but see, we didn't dive down the rabbit hole of the extent of the zombie apocalypse. Are we talking about what level zombies are we talking about, or what type of zombies are we talking about? Because an hour and a half, if you're talking about World War Z zombies, that's going to be very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fast zombies.
You're talking Walking Dead zombies, and I'm using popular reference because I'm assuming most of y'all haven't read the zombie books I have. But yeah, for popular reference, just look at it. Look at that's the two ends of the spectrum: World War Z and The Walking Dead. Right? That's a whole different. I mean, if you're talking, potentially a mob on an interstate or whatever of, thousands of World War Z type zombies, you ain't getting through that.
Is World War Z the one with Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the one with the big
Okay.
wall.
Yep. Okay.
Stay put would be the best thing to do.
Yeah, bug in. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I always think about when people talk about going and meeting somebody or doing this and doing that. I'm like, man, if something horrible really did happen, the gridlock, the way you'd have to be, the travel, that how bad it would be. I mean, people just think they can hop in their car and be like, we'll just drive a couple hours to so and so's house.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that goddamn simple, man.
Well, and you think about it, all of those, you've got an interstate, bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper, this gridlock, and then all of those are going to get turned into zombies as well. So all of your main interstates and your main arteries, it's going to be jam packed with Zeeks, man. You can't go that way. You have to go back roads, small roads.
But then any back roads, they're probably going to be backed up to some extent as well. So you're going to need a motorcycle, or you're going to need a 4-wheeler, or side by side,
fucking horse,
side by side, or something like that, along with extra.
The only thing I'm using a horse for is to eat. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to build a boat and find one of those major water areas like the Savannah fucking River and float and find
Put a
somebody.
boat in the Savannah. A boat is not a bad thing, and I mean, especially, think about it. If you could ever rendezvous, you could, you could commandeer an aircraft carrier or something, kind of like I Am Legend.
No, it is kind of a bad idea, because anybody who knows what's going on, they know that water only flows one fucking direction, and if someone is going to be traveling, they're going to have to cross that point at one time or another. So
What do you mean it only flows one direction? What are you talking about?
Talking about like a river.
You can go upriver? Wait, do you think you can't go upriver?
If you have enough gas, I guess you can. Sure.
Pretty sure.
I think that makes more sense if you're like a scavenging society. Just wait down. Just stand by the river and wait for something to come floating by.
Yep. But then you're talking about zombie potential. That's a hazard too, because when you're talking about zombies in the water, it depends
Like
on the type of zombie.
Sharks. Holy shit! Can you imagine a zombie great white?
Sharknado zombie.
Zombie Sharknado.
Yeah.
Or Zombie Shark King.
Something. Yeah.
You just don't. It doesn't get any worse than that. That's it. Unless they were being ridden by rabid raccoons or something.
Well, in
With
a river,
If you lived
on their
Africa,
heads.
if you lived in Africa and you had a zombie tiger or a zombie lion, that'd be pretty bad.
There's no tigers in Africa, dude.
But what about bears?
Zombie cheetah. Fastest thing on the planet.
It's thing in the world, yeah.
Are there bears in Africa? I mean,
Someone said lions and tigers, so I just threw in bears because fuck it.
Oh my.
Oh my.
See, somebody got the reference.
There you go.
Zombie. The worst would be zombie mosquitoes. Just saying.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's something that's probably never. That's probably something that they haven't ever really even done in like a movie as a premise.
You would totally be dead. It's over with.
You'd be everybody be zombified.
Yeah, nobody would survive. Yep.
That would be it, huh? That's a good premise for a zombie movie.
Zombie mosquitoes.
I'm thinking that's a shit hit the fan story right there.
I don't know. I don't even know how you write that story and anybody lives. So I don't.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It'd be like I Am Legend.
It would have to be written. Yeah, it would have to be written in the form of a Greek tragedy. I mean,
or like, there's certain people.
I'm prepared for the flying insect.
There you go. Gary's gonna be okay. It's his assault rifle. See you, Night Strike, and Night Strike's leaving.
Night Strike.
Night. You say Night Strike?
I said Night, Strike.
It's like a bad dream.
Night Strike.
Night Strike.
Night Strike.
Night Strike.
Night Strike was here. Oh,
Hey.
Night Strike. I'm sorry that I said any of the bad
what it
things I said
says
about you.
on the wall. Anyway, Night Strike was here.
There you go. All
And
right.
if you look on the left, you can see where Night Strike was. We placed a blue piece of cloth in his remembrance.
Mosquito horde ate me up last night. General relativity. Yeah, that would be kind of a shitty. I guess it would be kind of a horrible movie because it would be like people are starting to be infected, and then you fast forward like a week, and everybody's just decimated. There's nothing left. Other than, I mean, some people attract like mosquitoes and stuff like that worse than others, but still, if you're the only non-zombie, I mean, it wouldn't be long until they found you.
Yeah, because the more the zombie fight, the less that the mosquitoes would have. So
Yeah. So I guess that is probably the worst premise for a zombie movie. It'd be like two scenes. One scene, people are getting infected. Scene two, everybody's dead.
it would be like truth in a movie. Because what I really hate on a lot of movies out there is when they could literally be over in 5 minutes and then they drag it out for another hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. Yeah, I hate those. I hate those types of movies.
Well, it wouldn't be. You wouldn't start the movie with the premise of, it's the mosquitoes doing it. It'd be like the twist ending or something like, it was the mosquitoes all the time. It wasn't airborne. It wasn't saliva. It was mosquitoes.
Well, it was airborne, but it wasn't airborne like you thought. I mean,
right?
That wouldn't be. That actually probably would be a good way to go. Is just not. The only thing is people wouldn't be able to figure it out. So I mean, is it going to be like? I don't know. That'd be a hard one to write.
I don't know if you can figure it out quick enough. I mean, if you had zombie mosquitoes, or mosquitoes were spreading the Z virus, and then it was also affecting humans and other animals and whatever that were then spreading it themselves. I don't know. There would be so much focus, I think, on other things. And I don't know how you would how would you get away from that completely?
You wouldn't. Everybody on Earth would die.
Yeah, because you think about it, even if you're in your house.
Get out in the ocean somewhere? I mean, if you were literally hundreds of miles from any land in the ocean?
That's true, maybe. Or if you happen to be
like Waterworld, only not as bad.
Well, if you got like a big battleship or a big aircraft carrier or something and took it hundreds of miles offshore, or something, and then anchored out.
You would.
But eventually you would run out of food. Most likely.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Then it would give you a chance to. You'd have to devise a way to go get supplies somehow. You just have to build like some really good suits or something, and send a couple of people. Almost like you.
Flamethrower set on wide broadcast.
And then
like beekeeping gear or something.
Yeah, and then when you come back, you just have to like make sure you decontaminate almost, like make sure you blast them, make sure you get all the mosquitoes out of if there's little nooks and crannies or whatever.
Yeah. But even fish, you would even have zombie fish you would have to worry about, right? Because you've got fish that would eat on like dead flesh and carcass and other things. So
they eat the mosquitoes too. I mean, when mosquitoes land or whatever, they eat them.
Yeah.
And
like a zombie piranha with teeth. That'd be pretty nasty.
It would eventually, if it's passed that way, you'd think eventually it would get past all sea life, all life in general.
Right.
Yesterday's pomade said mosquitoes don't bite dead stuff.
But if they were already zombie mosquitoes,
right?
Wouldn't they be the same?
That's what we're saying. Like pass it like malaria. Like malaria gets passed because they bite somebody with malaria.
Would the
Like,
zombie mosquitoes eat the living mosquitoes though?
It would have to be like there was like some sort of genetic mutation, and all of a sudden like a mosquito became like he's the carrier of the very first like the T. They talk about the T virus in like whatchamacallit movie. Like if that one mosquito started it or something, and then I don't know.
Well, now pomade. People don't instantly turn. It's not like you bite and then. It's usually like a period of maybe from like a couple hours to a couple days.
Right. Right.
So they're still alive, and the virus is in the blood, and the skeeters get them, and then
they've been bitten, but they haven't turned yet.
All shit cuts loose. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to head out.
See you guys.
Later,
Thanks for the invite, man. Good night, everybody.
Absolutely.
Night, George.
You guys want to? You guys want to do some outros, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Before we do anything, just for I don't know how many people we got left.
16.
16-ish.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't have a lot of stuff to do on Sunday night, so. For anyone who's still watching, and see, I got a little something on the side of my AR here.
What is that? A shotgun? Was that a BB gun?
BB gun my ass. It's a Ruger.
Is that for a GoPro?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, I don't know. I might have people coming over, might not. But 4th of July night, last year, I did the whole flash and bang with my little 10-inch barrel. So, if I got time and it's not raining like they're saying it's going to, I'm actually going to mount the GoPro. That's actually the one I'm using on my PC right now onto here in a couple different barrel length ARs, and going to be kind of showing the different flash profiles of them because I can do slow-mo on this camera here.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd flash and bang too if I had a 10-inch barrel.
Can your wife confirm this?
Oh, she can confirm that I do not have a 10-inch barrel. Yes,
I was going to say he said she would, or he would, not he does.
He didn't. He does. No, general relativity. I'm not going to get some tracers because where I shoot, it's only 15 yards. Just going to be blasting into dirt. So.
All right. So, what you guys say your Audi outros here? Clover, what's up? Anybody gonna say anything?
No. Thanks for the invite. Had fun. That's it. Good night.
I'm gonna throw a link in the chat here. Ghost, what's up?
I just wanted to say thank you for having me, and I got my membership card for the Anti-Gunners of America today, so I'm really happy.
Cool. Where are they out of?
Ellis's. It's Ellis's address, so you can tell me. I don't know.
I thought you were going to say NRA. My bad.
That would have been a better joke if I would have said that.
Anti-NRA.
Yeah, because everybody knows Ellis is anti-gun.
I think every single one of us in here is anti-gun, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, what's a gun?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm scared to death.
I lost all mine, sorry.
Sounds like fun. Guns rime with fun.
No,
that they
don't
do.
sound like fun. They sound scary to me.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
They like Funyuns?
Yeah,
thank you.
Same thing.
They just sound scary and dangerous.
Outlaw, what do you got to promote?
Well, tomorrow night I've got an interview one-on-one with Insight Freedom at 11, right after Matt's show. I'm going to get into some things. I've got a little announcement to make tomorrow night about a little something I've been doing for a couple of weeks, trying to get some help with.
Ellis got a bun in the oven.
Fuzzy bun?
Not hardly. Not hardly. No buns and no ovens.
Did the sheep get jealous?
Oh, son of a bitch.
No, your
Wouldn't
sheep
that
are
be
safe.
a son of a bat?
They're all yours.
Too Hotty, what do you got going on?
I have no idea. You guys lost me a while ago, other than just talking shit. What I have going on? I don't have nothing going on. I'm Too Hotty 206 on Instagram. I'm probably going to be doing SugarCon coming up the end of this month here.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
There was supposed to be another Gun Channels member coming into town, but I'm not sure if that's completely going to work out or not as of this point in time. So it may just be me. May just be me.
That's
for
up
one
in.
day.
That's in Washington.
Yeah, so that's up here in Bellevue, Washington.
Cool. Are you gonna be? Are you gonna be? How are you gonna be covering it? Or are you gonna be over it?
I'm gonna be out covering it as media on Range Day, most definitely, and then the Friday before, the public is allowed, I'll be going and talking to manufacturers and all that stuff. But if I don't have another friend from Gun Channels coming to town, I can't see doing it 4 days in a row by myself. So.
Oh, that's a 4 day. That's a 4 day thing. Wow.
Well, yeah, including Range Day, because the first 2 days are media and industry only, and those are the two main days that I really want to be there for. So, and I've already got my okay from them, and already got credentials on the way and all that stuff. So everything's already worked out. But the other Gun Channels member who I thought was joining, I hope that things. I'm not even gonna say names or anything, but I hope things work out in their behalf and that they're able to make the trip. But if not, it'll be me for at least those 2 days. I'm hoping.
Well, have a good time. Have you been to it before?
Yeah, I did it last year with both Pink and Marco.
Awesome.
And
good luck. Be safe. Have fun.
Yep, and Yankee and Haas and there was a group of us that met up down there and had dinner and all that good stuff.
Very neat.
Anyway, that's it.
Cool. So the link I threw in the chat is a super funny video. I don't know if you guys are subscribed to or you watch any of Donut Operators videos. I know some people I've talked to it. They like them too. That's a link to a video he did the other day, and it was what did he say? He called it like the funniest arrest he's ever seen or whatever. Watch it. It's really funny. It's these two yahoos, a chick and a guy in a convenience store, and I don't even want to tell you what happens because it's like till it hits the end of the video. It's funny. It had me laughing for sure. So watch that. It's pretty funny. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot going on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming. I know it's another late one. It's awesome you guys stopped in. I hope you had a good time. Still got 16 watching, which is cool. I'm not sure what's going on the 4th. I might end up going live late, or be able to maybe jump in a chat or two. If you guys are going live, just because the restaurant is closed, but we're going to do some family stuff. We're going up to camp, taking a little guy up to camp with, go up and have a picnic with my family. So that'll be fun. So keep your eyes open. I don't know who else is going live that day or what's going on, but I'm sure somebody will be on here to entertain you. Yankee did a really cool video the other night supporting creators, basically. which was really cool. I appreciate that one. Just basically saying, people that are doing these videos and doing the stuff that you guys are watching, that we all watch, not you guys, that we all watch, help support them, show them a little love. It's whether you're doing something that's really simple and easy, like just doing live stuff, or whether you're doing stuff that costs you a bunch of money. Either way, myself, for instance, I do not watch TV anymore. If I'm at home and I want to sit on the couch and relax a little bit, I'm pulling out my phone and my headphones and watching some of the creators that I like, or getting into a chat. And I appreciate that. And it's pretty awesome how many people we have doing it right now. So support them. It's important, I think, to keep people motivated, and to also, not that money is the only motivator for sure. Interaction is probably the best motivator. Not probably, it absolutely is. But at the same time, to show your support in multiple ways is super cool. So unless anybody has anything else to say or plug, we'll cut loose our little ape over there and let him do our closing. All right. Hit it, homie.
Let the ape out of his cage.
That's it.
Nobody puts ape in the cage. Let's see. Find me on YouTube and mostly Instagram, because that is a hell of a lot easier than actually doing videos. But shameless self-promoting aside, ladies, gentlemen, and Jonases of all ages, thank you for watching Midnight Range TM's The Closer. Be sure to check out gunchannels.com for more Pro 2A content. This concludes our regularly scheduled programming, but we'll be back at 9:30 a.m. Eastern with the early watch, followed by open lobbies throughout the day. Also, keep an eye out for Black Cat Outdoors lunchtime and litterbox chats. Gun Channel's Monday night programming at 8 p.m. Eastern, Clovertax MOA Monday, and Hawaii Volcano Squad's Locked and Loaded. 9 p.m. Eastern, Never Enough Ammo, a.k.a. Mr. Matt's Guns and Geeks podcast, The Week in Geek. At 11 p.m. Eastern, the Outlaw Hatfield's Monday Night Shootout. And every weeknight at midnight Eastern is the Daily Gun Show. And remember to be on the lookout for Ellis the Degenerates, a.k.a. the Outlaw Hatfield's Late Night with the Outlaw. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here.
Well,
also check out
what good are you then if you lose your voice? Jesus.
Well, seeing as how you never paid me my sandwich, I say we're even for the job.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Also, check out guntube.org as a free, unrestricted Pro 2A video platform. If you like what you see there, go over to Patreon and help them pay the bills. Check out 247gunshow.com. It's free to buy. It's free to sell for Gun Channels members and anyone who can buy. And remember, a hot dog is a sandwich, and keep your guns earled and the chambers loaded.
Thank you, Mr. Ape. You're the best in the business. I appreciate
hot dog is not a fucking sandwich.
Wait, what?
Yes, it is.
So next time we need to make sure that the ape keeps the ball gag in his mouth for like an hour extra, so that his voice doesn't start cracking when he's doing his outro.
Yeah, no, I need to actually start drinking a little more.
Yeah, I guess we are gonna have to watch it. I mean, he's like an athlete. You got to take care of yourself, or a singer. Got to take care of that throat. So, you guys have a great night. We're gonna cut this one off. Everybody go home and get some sleep. I guess you're already home, probably, huh? But anyway, get some sleep. I'll see you next time. Bye.